was amazing.
Hopefully the tempo's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure it is.
Right.
It sounds right.
I did
It
play
can't be that far
I did
off.
play bass on it.
Yeah.
I think
true.
I
Yeah, it
remember.
can't be so far off, but it was a little off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Was that your bass guitar debut?
On YouTube? Was that your YouTube bass guitar debut?
I suppose, yeah.
Can I tell you guys something?
like soft
Was
open.
that where was that clip first?
That was the
used?
double neck clip.
Double neck.
So I don't think they've ever been put out.
We
Those,
never
I think
released
they
them.
weren't they only shorts? Didn't you release them
There's
on
a whole
shorts?
demo of the
Yeah.
of the 18.
Well, we're still working on the double neck video.
That's the one.
Right.
Yeah, it was
It's
in
a
that.
saga. It's not a story that can be quickly written.
Rushed. You don't want
You
to
know?
rush
This
it.
is J.R.R. Tolkien
Especially
level.
when you forget
Yeah.
about it for a few
No,
weeks.
I remembered. It's
John,
on my.
John.
It's been on my to-do list. It's
Yeah.
on my. It's on there. I haven't forgot about the double neck. I was just talking about it today.
No, I just mean like forget about the video.
I feel like when we first pitched it, it was more like you talk about the double neck. Now I feel like it's a love letter to the double neck.
Yeah.
Like this video is going to be like a
It's
like
the
an ode.
double neck video is going to be an appeal to the guitar playing community as a whole.
for
which is
more
gonna
double
say,
necks.
Wow.
Which is going to say, repent,
turn from your evil ways.
believe in the
Turn
God.
from your single neck playing
Yes.
Yeah.
ways.
Yes, exactly. And
Wow, an appeal
yeah, an appeal.
Wow.
for more double necks.
I
Is
can't
that the
wait.
More
an-
double
is that
necks.
the
I can't
answer?
wait for it.
It's going to be the you've settled for the octave pedal, and what a mistake you've made.
Interesting.
You know, you thought this was. You thought this would solve your problems. It only gave you more.
Huh.
You know.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's the harder solution was better in the end. You know, convenience
Oh.
really.
Oh, right.
You took
know
the
what I'm
easy
saying?
path and look where it led you.
Look where it's led you. It's led you
Wow.
astray.
It's like a
Narrow-
philosophical.
Narrow
video.
is the path. You know, narrow is the gate. So
yeah.
few will find it.
The wide gate. Pog pedal. Come on.
Yeah.
And I truly, with this double neck, am like, you know, the man who stumbles upon a field and in it a buried treasure. And when he finds it,
Wow.
he sells everything he has to possess it. I didn't sell much to possess it, but I did a flash sale or two.
You know what I would like? I think you've mentioned it before. The amount of time it takes for him to mention double neck.
Well, this was at
like
the
a
very
ticker
top
on every
I know,
video.
it
We
would
need
be, it,
we need a timer.
This was
that
a-
one would have gone off immediately.
yes.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was.
We also need
Yeah.
like a mention counter, like a double neck counter.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
I like those like the real violent movies where there's like a death
Yeah.
counter, like a kill count.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Well, we should get a double nut counter. What's up, guitar friends? Welcome. We tried to do a cold open at the top. That was the cold as ice open at the top.
Yeah.
But wait, I have a.
They're still here.
Yeah, they're still here. I have a gripe. You know, guys, let's get a shot of that because it looks awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Fender collection is
Oh,
looking
yeah.
nice over there. Look how clean.
I think Suze did
Very-
take a picture.
I
of
did.
it.
It's very cleaned up.
I spent a part of the morning trying to clean that up, and we've got way too much stuff down here. And obviously, there's a lot of stuff available on Tone Junkie Vintage. But anyway, and I'm
Pause
Probably
for
some of
effect.
that stuff.
well, none of that. I'm not breaking
Oh
that collection up.
no.
Oh,
That
but that's
one-
all vintage stuff.
But that's all one collection.
all good
Can't
stuff.
break that up.
Oh.
You know, that's
Is the whole
65
thing as
collection.
one collection on Tone Junkie Vintage?
It would cost
It's in the name.
$1,965 million. See, I said 1,965.
That's $1 billion.
It's over $1 billion.
That's
That's
a
how my
billion.
son counts.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's almost $2 billion.
Yeah.
You know?
1,000 million.
Is that 4,000 billions?
So I went to Lowe's because I was looking at all these amps and I was going, okay, I need to get some more amps off the floor, and we're talking about how we're going to store amps in here in the future. And I was like, let me go get some shelving so that in the hallway over there, I can just some of these amps that are like behind you guys. Look at this pile. I mean, look at the shot of them.
We had to move some just to get these chairs in here too.
And I mean, it's a embarrassment of tone riches, really. And so I go to Lowe's, and first of all, I walk in and I say, "Hey, do you have shelving?" And they were like, "What kind of shelving?" Fair question. I said, "You know, like the kind that you build, and they're like it's like made of metal, but it's like the wire style." You know, I was like, a lot of times, you put garage like for that kind of thing. And they were like, "Wire shelving, aisle 7." Walk over to aisle 7. It's in the home organization area. And it's the wire shelving that you find
Oh, look
in-
at the top of your
in
closet.
closets, or what you would put in like a pantry or like a pantry closet.
Wasn't it? But
or a
wasn't it like
walk-in.
on the other side of the aisle from that stuff?
No.
Oh,
No, so then I'm going, okay, this is great. This is all the stuff you mount to the wall with the track, and you can adjust it. And I'm like, all right.
That's not what you're looking for, though.
Not what I was looking for. I said wire shelving. I think this is wire shelving. The thing I'm looking for, I think, is also wire shelving. But so I go to another guy and I say, hey, I'm one aisle away now from aisle 7. I go, hey, I'm looking for those shelving units that have like 4 or 5 shelves, not the wire shelving that, you mount to the wall, but the other ones that kind of look like it, but it has the 4 poles and you put the shelves in from the top and then you adjust the height.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh,
Aisle 7.
all we have is what's in aisle 7. I immediately go, you don't know.
Right. But you didn't say
What are
that.
you doing here, man? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
You definitely have this product.
Right.
Right.
This
People are buying it.
People have, this is,
Yeah.
Right.
do you have a wrench?
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Yeah.
Trust me. Light bulbs, you got it.
Right.
I go, okay. Thank you. Just walk away.
Yeah.
I pull up on Amazon exactly what I'm looking for.
Oh, that's good
and I just
stuff.
go find someone else. And I
Yeah.
go, do you know where this would be?
This.
Right.
He's like, oh, yeah, 22. Way out there.
Your hunch was correct.
Way out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
It's in like...
Was it outside?
No.
You know how
it's
they got like the heavy
Yes, it
duty
wasn't
stuff?
that far,
Okay.
but it was with cement
Yeah.
and stuff. It was in more the contractor area. And you know where it was right next to? It's next to the very heavy duty shelves you would use in an industrial setting. The ones with the thick metal that you put the
Yeah.
wooden thing on. It's just the metal bracing and you build the wooden shelf, or it comes with maybe even a cork style wooden shelf. You know what I'm saying? The heavy duty stuff, like for storing pallets up high.
Sure.
It was like, here's the baby version of those. So I go, cool. Oh, they've got 2 that I want. They don't have the other sizes. I'm going to have to get 2 larger ones and 2 smaller ones, like 2 of the 3 feet and then 2 of the 4 feet. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a job for one of those flat pallet things, not a cart.
Mm-hmm.
So I go find one of these flat pallets, and it's a little tough. And I'm pulling it. And all of a sudden I start going, papa, 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 papa. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm looking at it, but I'm too far to go back to where they are. So I'm just pulling it. And I look
make this one
down.
work.
You got to make this work. And I look down and I realize there's a scrape mark, like all leading back to where I pulled it from.
That you did.
A scrape mark is an exaggeration. I don't know that it was leaving
It's
a
like
mark.
a rubber mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I look at the front wheel, and imagine it's
like
a
a-
metal wheel with rubber around it. There's only rubber on 1 inch of it, and there's no rubber on the rest. So this rubber is just acting as a doorstop that won't allow the wheel to turn.
You got to give it to that rubber, though.
It's-
like, how
It
is
was
it?
holding on
It's
for
holding
dear
on
life.
for dear life. How
And
does
so
it,
it's like-
how does it do that?
So I'm like, this thing's got 3 working wheels, and then every couple feet it's boom, 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 boom. Because once you get that wheel going,
Yeah, it creates the
it's
rhythm.
going.
Yeah.
You know.
There you're going.
So I'm going. It's going ba 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 ba. And someone stops and says, "Can I help you find anything?" And I say, "No, I already found it. I already found it. I'm headed back there right now."
You should have said, you can help me with a different cart, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. This should have been removed from the store already, guys.
Right.
But okay. So I bring it and throw it on there, and now I'm going back to the front, and I parked not near 22. I parked near like 4.
Yeah, you don't know where
You know, I already came. So I'm like, I got to get to the registers over there. So I bring this all the way over there. The lady says, "Oh, where'd you get these?" And I'm like, "Oh, 22 there." Well, there's no tags. Where's the stickers on here? She's like, "It's okay. We can do it the other way." She's helpful. Hey, there's problems sometimes. Whatever, you know.
Wow.
Get out to my car, and I realized they overcharged me for every single one.
Oh, my gosh.
By how much?
30%.
Ooh.
That's rough.
And I looked and I went,
How
"Wait a
did you
minute."
figure that out? You just remembered how much they were.
Yeah, I just looked down and I went, no,
That's
no.
a lot of money.
These were supposed to be 69 and 99. That's what these were. Not 80. Well, 89 was one and 129 was the other.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking at this thing going, oh, no. So I go back and I go, "Hey, Lynn, this is, it looks like it overcharged me." She's like, well, you got to zoom because I took a picture. I went over and took a picture, make sure I was right. The prices could
So
be
you went
moved
back
over.
into the
I
store.
went back in just
all
with the receipt.
the way back with 20.
I loaded everything in my car. I went back in with my receipt. I went to the aisle to take a photo because I was like, I got to check the number to make sure I'm not looking at the wrong product.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
could make a mistake.
Yeah,
Could happen.
right. And now you have proof.
Unlikely, but it could happen.
Yeah. So what'd she say?
So I take a picture. She goes, "You're gonna have to zoom up on that and look for the product
This
number."
story is-
I'm thinking I already did, Lynn, but okay.
Yeah.
Zoom up, and she goes 7149.
Oh my gosh.
0. What you're gonna have to do is go to customer service, and they can help you over there. So I go over there, and it's 6 people long. So I just go, okay. So I stand there for a moment, and then I get a text from John that says, "Leaving now," because I'm supposed to meet him for lunch.
Oh.
And I realize
Deadline.
this isn't happening today.
No.
You
It's
know?
a 2-day event.
So you're gonna have to go back there?
Yeah, for like $80.
That's worth
And
Yeah.
it.
it's worth it. But then I go like this.
Well, nobody wants to do that.
I just go, I should have ordered it on Amazon and just had it here on Sunday.
yeah. Yeah.
But you try to get up early, you get productive. I've been getting up extra early. I've been getting up now at 5:30. I normally get up at 6 before.
Oh gosh.
And because I leave here with the kids at 6:58, not a moment later.
Can't be 7.
7:06 and we're dead.
Yeah.
It's over.
Right. You got
The
them for the
whole-
rest of the day.
You might as well skip school.
Yeah.
Because the high school we have to pass on the way to their school gets backed up.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it'll take you 45 minutes. A 23-minute drive turns into a 45-minute drive.
Everyone in
there.
California is like, yeah.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you been on the 91 freeway?
Yeah.
I had a friend one time tell me Atlanta traffic was so bad that if he left his house now to pick me up, he might get there later than if he leaves in 2 hours. And I said, well, that's impossible because there's no purgatory state of the freeway that if you left in 2 hours, it would be clear that you would somehow get stuck in.
Right.
When the
Pass
freeway
yourself.
clears, it clears.
Right.
But he swore to me, no, you don't understand.
It's like a vortex.
If I leave right now, I might not get you for 3 hours. If I leave in 2 hours, it's a half-hour drive.
I'll be there in 40 minutes. Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'll trust
It's probably
you.
happened to him one time.
He's like,
and
that's how
see,
bad
I told
it
you.
is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. If the roadways in 2 hours are clear, surely getting
Right.
on them sooner.
Right.
No matter how slow, it would be sooner. Anyway, so I'll be back at Lowe's getting my $80 back and then probably just, realizing not worth it. Like,
Yeah.
I should just go on Amazon. It's not their fault. If I had not been recharged,
Well, it's more their fault than your fault.
it reminds me of this because I'm a self-employed person. And so a lot of my time, I think about wasting my time. I could be doing something better with my time. And as a self-employed person, I recognize that some things I do with my time result in dollars and some things don't result in dollars directly. But they have to be done. They're important. You know what I mean? And so, because there's something like making a pack and posting it. That's like what Tone Junkie does. But you got to do the videos and you got to do this and you got to clean up this and you got to get a speaker ready and you got to, you know what I mean? Like there's the editing and there's the, there's the taxes and there's all the stuff. And I try to be really conscious of like not wasting my time with stupid things. You know what I mean? And so like a lot of times I'm looking for ways to save time.
Sure.
Do I need to cut out around my hair for this thing or can I just use a photo we already have for a YouTube video that dozens of people will see?
Right.
I
You know
love
what
that
I mean?
example.
You know?
Do I have to cut around my hair?
That's and so I just felt like it's over, Lowe's. It's over. You've wasted enough of my time now. And now you expect me to wait in this line.
But they're going to give you $80 back.
I don't feel like it's a value. It's a worthwhile use of my time. I might send my wife.
She'd probably love to have $80.
She'd love it.
I know.
And she'll enjoy the getting it back
Yeah.
and handling it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I have a buddy whose son calls. They'll drive up to Lowe's, and he was like, "Why did you take me to Blue Home Depot?"
Yeah.
He calls it
That's
Blue
true.
Home Depot.
That's
Like
true.
you're in
That's-
this. You should be at Home Depot. This story only.
Yeah.
I was
helps
trying to
with that.
find a particular. It was actually for, these screws. Oh no, this guitar doesn't have it. Like a humbucker. It's like the adjustment screw.
Yeah.
I didn't have one. I just needed one. And it was a very particular size, length, and like very skinny.
It's like in the pickup.
Yeah, it's like how you adjust the height of the pickup.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went to Home Depot, they didn't have any. And I was like, well, maybe Lowe's will have them. Gosh, I really hate Lowe's.
Lowe's
It's
is the worst.
terrible.
It's like Bizarro Land.
It's designed for women. Is the problem?
Whatever it is, it's very weird. Everything's blue.
Yeah.
They have kind of the same stuff, but
Yeah.
not the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a little worse everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't shock me that,
Lowe's is a Lowe's like Target customer are women doing things in their house. That's like who they cater to. And if you go in, you'll notice that the contractor stuff is kind of all the way at the end, really in its own thing. It's like the carts are over there are different. Everything's different. You can't even get them on the other end of the store. Where Home Depot is like
the whole thing.
the whole thing is the whole thing. There's wood, there's tools, there's this, there's that. Right. It's all very warehousey. You'll notice Lowe's always has finished, shinier cement floor. Lowe's is like or Home Depot's like I walked into a warehouse.
For sure.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Orange Home Depot. It's nice.
Orange Home
You
Depot.
can look that up. That's not like a sexist thing I'm saying. That is their target demo. Is women doing these projects rather than men, because
it could be both.
Yeah. No, you certainly can find the things you need if you're a man.
It could be true, but also sexist.
Yeah. No, but that's what they do. I did a whole Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like the Stanley guys, you know?
Yes.
They were a bottle company.
Yep.
It blew up with one influencer, and then it came back in stock and blew up again. And the CEO said, "We're a company who makes these for women.
We make this now.
We know we've had that," and they've 10x'd.
Yep.
Wow. And they said, "We're different."
The
now.
whole Stanley thing is really wild.
Where did it begin? What influencer was that?
Oh, just some female influencer who's like a woman, middle-aged woman. She has kids.
I came in super late.
I remember when my wife came home with one.
Yeah.
She came home with one. She's like, "Isn't this the best cup?
Yeah.
It has a handle, big straw. It holds."
I have one right here.
You have one.
Yeah.
But
We have so many because there's so many colors.
She came home with one, and then another one came, and I was like, "How much are these things?" She's like, "Oh, they're not bad. They're $40."
Yeah.
It's like $40 for a cup.
It's got a handle though.
Fast forward, we have like 12 of them now.
Oh wow.
We get them for gifts. The kids get them for gifts all the time.
Interesting.
The influencer,
And it's actually out of control.
So the influencer who did it pointed out, she said, basically, I love these because they fit in a standard cup holder.
Yes.
They hold X amount. And she said, and the huge handle lets me do like the mom claw. You know where moms like take their keys and this cup
And their phone.
and the
Yeah,
phone
and
and,
the
the
child.
wallet,
Yeah.
and then there's a child in his hand.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's like a,
I have everything.
yeah, it's like a mythological claw with everything that you could, it's holding more than is physically
That
possible.
helps them do that.
And this somehow just balances. It's huge. And while you're doing that,
You know what's weird though?
you just find your way to the straw.
It's weird. For the life of me, I can't figure out how my wife drank water before Stanley. I don't know what it was.
She didn't. And this is what's crazy. It's
I
training.
don't know how
She was dehydrated.
I don't know
This-
how she drank water.
These cups are training. I tell my wife all the time. It is training a generation of women to believe that they are about to die of thirst every 11 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like, and my wife, if she runs out of water, you would think this is like,
well,
like she's having a cardiac arrest or something. Oh my gosh, I need water. It's like
Right.
as soon as it empties, it's like a psychological like, oh my gosh, I need water, and it's like. You are fine for long periods of time with no water.
Right.
You're fine.
no, you're not.
You can drink some water and not drink water for hours and hours.
That's wrong. If you don't have fresh cold water, you're dead. You're dead. You're dead.
You're dead. It's like when
80
you're
ounces
driving.
of it.
It's like you were driving in the car with your dad, and then you turn on the dome light above your head. The whole family instantly dies. It's that dangerous.
You can't drive.
Dead. You're just
Totally.
your car immediately. It's actually an explosion, like an ejector seat for the whole family.
You know what's
The clock
actually
is
funny?
ticking, yeah.
Because I'm the dad who does that now.
I do it too.
The time between that light coming on and me saying something is like 1 second.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to turn that off.
Yeah.
Turn it
Hey,
off.
we're driving here.
We're driving. You got
Yeah.
to turn it off.
Yeah.
What do you have that on for?
Is it
Yeah.
because you can't see? That's what I always
I
say
just
too.
don't
I
like
can't
it.
see with a light on.
It does
It is
create
so weird.
you shouldn't have
Yeah.
light behind. It does create a more difficult
Yeah,
environment to see.
I think we're exaggerating.
We're exaggerating. Yeah.
I do the same thing.
It's just that you're driving a
what's weird?
minivan.
Okay,
There's a bunch
so-
of kids behind you,
so many kids.
pretending like they can't be bored for 30 seconds. They've got books and iPads and
I get it.
sounds
Right.
and everything. And it's like, can you just let me do the thing that has to be done, which is drive and not kill everyone?
Yeah,
Right.
priority number one.
Could we all just acknowledge for a moment
Just leave me alone.
that
Let me
maybe,
drive.
yeah. Just get out of the way.
So here's the weird thing. So back to the Stanley Cup thing, though. Here's the weird thing.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I never brought water to school.
No.
Ever.
No.
I never brought water to school.
Never once.
Drinking
My
fountains.
my kids
Sure.
bring a gallon. I mean, it's so
Yes.
much water.
Yes.
They have to bring water to school. Like they feel like they're gonna die if they
Yeah.
don't.
Are they
Yeah.
made to do that?
No,
Or are they just,
it's just like-
it's an impulse now?
In school, we would drink water after we had played in the sun for an hour.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
I really am like potentially dehydrated.
Right. And we would line up for
Yes.
the
Yeah,
drinking
you
fountain.
line up at the drinking
Yeah.
fountain.
This
after,
kid's taking forever. How
These
thirsty is this
kids,
kid?
these kids are saying the Pledge of Allegiance and,
then-
they're parched.
Remember, it's like remember it's like save some for the whales.
Yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
everyone would
yeah.
yell that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they time the fountain.
Yeah, they
Time
would.
the fountain.
They would.
There's
They-
a fountain monitor.
Right.
Hall
Wow.
monitor, fountain monitor.
Totally.
Don't be making a mess over there.
Right.
Don't put your lips on it.
Don't put your lips on it.
Tell
Oh,
me you're
man.
near 40 without telling me you're near 40.
Totally.
Just did it.
No,
But I
it's
just
it.
think like you know, my
it's-
kids now
yes.
if they forget a water, it's like their whole day is ruined.
I know.
You know, how are they going to survive?
The largest thing I ever brought to school and was allowed to put on my desk was the brief month or two where Pogs were popular.
Oh.
And I could put Pogs in a tube. And then quickly the school was like, this is insane.
Shut it down.
What are you all doing?
Yeah, you
You're
can't.
bringing tubes full of these little keep these in your backpack,
Oh,
kids.
the battles though at recess.
yeah.
Oh, my
The battles.
god.
With the slammers. Do you ever play for
No.
keeps? Did you guys
Oh,
play
yeah.
for
Oh
keeps?
yeah, always for keeps.
And
Always
that
for
caused a lot of
keeps.
conflicts too because a lot of parents then were like, "Excuse me, my kid
Yeah.
lost all his Pogs." And
The
it's like,
kid took 'em.
Yeah, because he sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
The winner
at
has them
Pogs.
all.
Yeah. Shouldn't have made
Yeah,
the wager.
go talk to Kyle. He
Yeah.
won them
Right.
all.
Yeah,
Have you
'cause
seen Kyle play? He's really good.
Because Kyle had that new style slammer
With
that
the finger-
Yes,
with
with,
the-
the finger.
with the
indent.
finger.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
He had the
Kyle.
technique.
Damn it, Kyle.
Damn it, Kyle. Oh my gosh. Pogs were the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like think
Yeah.
about
Right.
how in the world did
No,
that
dude.
start?
There was so much
I
weird
don't get
stuff.
it.
There was so much weird
And remember
stuff.
the little
Yeah.
plastic tubes?
Yes.
They were specifically built
Yes.
for Pogs.
Yes. And they got crazy. Some of mine got so tall. You know? They were like,
The 90s were so much better.
dude, it was weird. It was weird.
The 90s were the best.
It was weird. We can talk about guitar after this, but I'll tell you the way this one guy, I won't say his name.
Guitar is coming sometime.
We had this one dude, and now looking back, bullying was still a thing.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? They don't do that anymore. But it's coming back, actually. We've had discussions. I can't tell you how I know this. But the kids are like saying bullying words again.
Right.
But for a while they weren't. No one was bullying anybody. It was almost like if you bullied someone, kids would be like, "Whoa, dude, you can't bully. Whoa, are you
Right.
being a bully?"
Right.
Which is like wild, you know?
Because it was like so heightened or like so everyone paid attention to it.
It's kind of so anti-kid. It's really impressive that they got that not bullying became kind of cool for a minute. But anyway, I think they're back to bullying each other. We'll find out. This kid, I'm sure there was a reason for this, but he was ridiculed in my school, just ridiculed. And he had a decent jump shot, so it was fine. We just played basketball and stuff, you know what I mean? But off the court, ridiculed. He was a strange child. He was like this little Spanish kid, but I mean like Spanish, like an old Spanish gentleman. Like he looked like a 60-year-old man from Spain. His hair was like plastered, jet black, plastered to his head, wet all the time. You know, kind of glasses, had this sort of regal look, light complexion, freckles, like the Spanish royalty you see, if you're ever familiar with kind of what, you know. And he was from Spain. His parents were from Spain. Anyway, he used to take water and like take water, cup it in his hand, and then put it in his shoes. And his sock would be so drenched that he would walk and it would squish all the time.
What is going on?
Dude, honestly, looking back, I think he had untreated athlete's foot, and the cool of the water maybe was giving him some relief, and maybe he just wasn't speaking up. and his parents weren't solving this problem
I gotta
for him.
do what I gotta do.
That is my best.
That's very inventive.
John, I've thought about this for years. John, I can only think that's the only reason why someone would do this. You know, he was like, there's a little burning, itching sensation.
poor kid.
He figured out that like it was fine when he was in the water or whatever. He had, you know what I mean?
Had to keep it damp.
Right.
Yeah, and so he would do this, and
Little did he know, making it worse the whole time.
absolutely,
It's a great point.
absolutely.
Didn't think about that, but yes.
yes, and
Poor guy.
yeah, man,
Not a treatment at all.
not a treatment at all, and we just, but you know
And then,
what? I
and
will
then
say
to
one
make
thing.
matters worse, you all made fun of him.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't like ridicule. I mean, he was our friend. He came
You
to
said
birth-
ridiculed.
Yeah, we
You said
did.
he was
we did.
ridiculed.
We did, but like he still came to all the birthdays.
Play it back.
Yeah, no, we ridiculed him for sure, but he still came to all the birthdays. Like we didn't exclude him.
Oh, yeah.
he still had a great he still had a decent jump shot. He would get picked.
Wait, you keep saying jump shot?
Yeah.
He played basketball.
Yeah, played
at recess.
basketball.
So he wasn't made fun of for his jump shot. Like you say that because that was like a good thing about.
Yeah, he
this
was good.
kid.
He was pretty good.
Interesting.
I think
He wasn't the first.
I thought
second,
it was
third,
going to be a
fourth, fifth-
basketball story.
No,
but
he
it
was like the 9th or 10th.
an athlete's foot story.
He was like the he'd be like the 8th pick.
yeah.
No, there's
to
no
be
basketball.
fair, I think this story has gone everywhere possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what the crazy thing is? Well, the crazy thing was, saw him at Lowe's today. I just heard this. I just heard the squishing sound, and I turned around.
You're like, Lynn, is that
I was
you?
like, Lynn. His name wasn't Lynn.
Wouldn't
It
that
might be now.
Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be wild?
Would be wild.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy.
really crazy. Anyway, Guitar Friends, this is episode 21-ish. 21.
Sounds like it.
This is 22, maybe.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Did we do 20? I don't know what it is.
I think it's 22.
I think it's 22. You're right. There's one
It's
that's
in
like
the
in the
description
hopper.
or the name
It's in
of
the
it.
description.
You can see it right there.
The problem is Addison edited some, so I've lost
Who knows?
track
Yeah.
of what numbers are,
Right. My.
how far we've come.
Uh,
So okay, post NAM, how y'all doing? You back up?
NAMM.
NAM was so fun. I love
was fun.
getting to NAM,
yeah.
and it's awesome. What's the
NAM was fun.
yeah
There's a lot of like walking around at NAM.
yeah
It was more walking than I've
I
done.
think we checked one time. It was like we'd walk like 7 miles or something.
yeah?
It was a lot.
You wouldn't want wet socks at NAM.
No.
No,
Can't be doing that.
you really can't.
The food was on point. We had some pretty good food. Like looking back,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Thai that we had the last night was
The
great.
Thai
it's
was
great.
good.
Donuts.
Yeah, we ordered a lot of great food. This-
breakfast
We
burrito.
had In-N-Out.
In-N-Out.
I tried to
twice.
order all the food that we can't, like we don't have great in Nashville. I tried to order there.
Korean
So,
barbecue.
Korean barbecue. Goodness.
Come on.
I think that Korean barbecue place we went to not only was amazing. The guy John that took us there was very kind.
Yeah, Pastor John.
Super fun. That
We only call him Pastor John when he's not around. I call him John to his face.
yeah, I think that's right. It was super fun. I think that was in the top 3 of the fullest I've ever felt
After that Korean
after
barbecue.
that.
Yeah.
And it was just like just about the time I was like, we should have stopped a while ago. A whole new round of
food
meat
came.
came out.
And there was this sort of collective guilt we all felt that if you didn't eat it, it's like,
Right.
dude, this is right in front of you.
Right.
You gotta.
Yeah.
People just hand it to
It's
you.
cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then after that, when we were eating ice cream,
You were so full, but yet,
it's like, oh my gosh.
yeah, I might as well get a double scoop.
Yeah.
Dude.
No, I
yeah.
only got a single, and then
That's how full you
I
were.
got made fun of.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Ridiculous.
funny because, obviously, like, I mean, ice cream's something we have here. But, they just had weird stuff, like weird ice,
Yeah.
like we just accidentally discovered
No,
those
Afters.
different things.
That's what they call that.
So anyway, I'm on my I'm back on my no carb calorie watch thing.
What did you have for lunch today?
El Sombrero,
Chicken?
He had
every meat.
all the meat.
I had like a fajita with a bunch of meats, and I just had the meat and the
You just eat
guac.
the skillet, yeah.
Yeah,
None of the sides.
Yeah.
it was good.
I mowed through all of the chips and salsa.
If you could,
He was good.
if favorite Nam memory, what was the best thing you saw? I know we had a best of Nam, but like the thing you liked the most, even if it wasn't that new.
I really enjoyed the tremolo video we did. I think it came out great.
I think it came out
I
great.
had fun making it,
Yes.
and like Christoph was so amped about it. And
Dude,
like,
he dialed that thing in so well.
yeah,
like,
it was fun.
what he did when it was on camera, it was one of the few times where I felt like what we caught on camera was so much better than what we had been Like every other time I tinkered with it, because
Yeah.
he came over and like gave us the whole
He
run
knows how
through.
it works. Yeah.
Right.
And he hadn't really done it at that level of depth before.
Yeah.
But he did it then. And usually I feel like, some magic happens and I'm like, turn on the camera. And then it's like, it's over. It passed.
Yeah.
It's dead.
No, that was
It's
good.
gone.
It was cool.
I had a long conversation with Christoph Kemper about programming because he writes a lot of the program. Like he writes a lot of the code
Yeah.
for, or almost all of it,
Yeah.
for all of the effects and everything. We talked about how he writes the code and what it is, and it was
Does
pretty.
he use like the same language you do for writing? Totally different than what you do.
No, he's
using Sanskrit.
It's so hard.
He uses something called assembly, which is it's basically one layer above what they call machine code, which is all actual ones and zeros.
Wow.
So he's using the next layer above that. And that's why, you talk about,
And
we've talked about it. It's like the Kemper is how many years old?
Yeah.
13 years old. They're still coming out with new stuff on a unit that has far less DSP than a lot of the newer units.
yeah, and one of the reasons, I don't know if you know this, but the chip that's used in here, the Freescale manufactured chip that's in there, that company is actually out of business. They don't make this chip anymore. I think Kemper just secured so many that they're like, we'll never run out of these chips.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
and I've a bunch of people, whenever this comes up, someone will try, it'll come up on the Kemper boards where basically Christoph has written a little thing where he like explains that Freescale chip that they use is designed for audio.
Right.
And so like what they're getting out of it is just so much better than maybe the Shark chip that a lot of people are using that is not designed for audio. And so I don't really understand why, but the gist of it is the architecture of this chip does not lend itself to audio, so it has to work so much harder, whereas this one is an audio chip.
So that's the whole point is like assembly if you think about what assembly is, it's like there's very rudimentary instructions you can give to the chip, and that's what you're programming. You're programming, put memory here, take memory out of here. It's not easy stuff. But because it's built exactly for audio, that's one of the reasons, and he's good at that. It was like a really off the cuff conversation that him and I had, but it was like we talked about it for 25 minutes. And it was awesome.
He was probably stoked that you were there because you can understand him. He could told me that for 4 minutes. I would have been like, bro.
Yeah, I saw you guys talking for a while. I was like, what are they talking about? Metal?
Yeah.
This is about
that would go way
about
over
metal
my
music.
head.
And then I was kind of looking at both of you, and I was like, maybe they're talking about black T-shirts. They're dressed the same. He also is a guy who wears all black most of the time, I noticed. And then I thought back in my head, and I was like, no, he normally does wear all black.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The inventor type.
Now that was fun. Him and Thomas were great. It was fun to have them.
Great people.
Yeah. We talked after we did that podcast with them. We were talking outside for a while just about Germany and all of it was fun. It was fun to see those guys.
Yeah.
But I think one of my other favorite memories too was seeing Rabia play.
That was great.
He crushed it.
We just stumbled on it.
I know we didn't even
We
plan
just walked
on it.
up. You're like, oh, it's at 11 o'clock.
I was like,
It's
oh, there's a
10:57.
giant afro in that booth.
Dude,
Oh, here it
stuff-
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff
Yeah.
happens at NAMM.
Yeah.
One time
He
I
was
was
great.
standing at NAMM, and who's the guy who plays the Gold Strat, Christian dude?
Lincoln Brewster.
Lincoln Brewster. I'm standing in the Fender booth, literally just like looking around like this. And all of a sudden, Lincoln Brewster or some people walk up, and a guy like kind of stands real close to me, and I'm like looking past him, and then he's like right there, and I like he's uncomfortably close to me, and then I realize he's helping someone. He's like, like he's pointing to something. I'm like, oh, they're about to do something. I don't move, and then Lincoln Brewster all of a sudden appears. They put a stool. And then as soon as he sits down, he's like, can I get this and that? And then they put pedals. I haven't moved once. And then a crowd forms. And I realize an entire demo and crowd formed in front and behind me. I've been standing in the same spot, and I'm in the front of a live demo for this Lincoln Brewster. I literally am just standing in this booth looking around. And this all just transpired around me.
So great.
They were all there on purpose. You were just already there.
I was just there inhabiting space. And then I was like, oh, this is happening right now.
Yeah.
It is really weird. That's like a perfect NAMM moment.
Yeah.
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 You're just kind of wandering, and then all of a sudden something happens. Like, whoa.
Right.
Here's, I almost said Good Charlotte. Why would I? I think we're not at NAMM, I think. I did see Corey Feldman.
Oh yeah.
And I found out he plays the harmonica in a band. And I watched some clips of it. And he certainly plays the harmonica in a band. I'll put it that way.
Is it good?
I don't
Is it
know what he's doing.
Who's the dude from Blues Traveler?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that.
Is it is he rivaling what's his name?
If you had replaced the audio with funny audio and then played it as a joke, it would have sounded the same. It was like...
I mean, are we shocked?
No, and you know what it hit me as? There's these NAMM people, and I would describe some of these NAMM people as they're industry people, and I don't really know what they're doing, but you'll never see more non-ironic top hats
It is
than at a NAMM show.
the people watching at NAMM is really top notch.
And I got a lot of respect for them, because if you're like a dude in your 50s wearing a top hat, 60s wearing a top hat, see, if you're Slash,
Totally cool.
You haven't lived in the real world since 81.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hit it big. You're not normal. You're not living in the world I live in.
No.
You don't go to Lowe's and someone charges you an extra $30.
Full circle.
You're not trying to find anything.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You're
Slash.
You're Slash.
Right.
If you're somebody like that, you make amps and you kind of live in that world, and there's just a bunch of people who are like, yeah, man, I just want like more feedback, and you want to do yoga or something. Just like weird things, you know what I mean? It's just, you're not living the real world either. But if you like, I mean, bro, if you drove a Ford Taurus to NAMM in a top hat,
Yeah.
you have
No,
you have more confidence than Alexander the Great conquering, than like building the tower in Egypt, and naming it after yourself.
That's what
You are.
It's either that or complete delusion. There's no
What's
two
the
ways.
difference?
There's
John,
no.
what's the difference? What's the difference?
Yeah,
You
you're probably right.
I mean, I don't know. When you're walking around like that, we might say it's delusion, but you're living like it's 81 and you're Slash. You know what I mean? You're living, and you haven't lived any different way.
Now there was one time too when it's like I looked over and hey, people make their own decisions. It's a free country. If you want to wear blue lipstick in public, that as a man, that's your decision. All I'm saying is that when you see it online, you see a picture of it, it's one thing. When you see it 4 feet from you, he's all sweaty
and not
gross.
even like in a
it's a different.
not even in a gender bender
No,
way.
no, it's
like,
not even.
No, it's not even
it's
like
just
a
like,
dude in
this
makeup.
is who.
No,
this
it's
is my artist form.
Yeah.
It hits way different.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
To be around.
It is kind of.
me.
It is kind of weird.
I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's enough for today. It was like
and
toward
then
the end of the day
and
too.
It's weird talking to people who are dressed like that, and then they're like, they're like, they have to ask you really practical questions, like, where'd you get that hot dog? You know what I mean? Like, someone dressed
not rock and roll questions.
Just insane.
Yeah.
Just insane.
You're
you
like,
know?
are we not going to talk about? No,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hot dog. It was super good. It's
They're
over there.
just dressed like that, and then they're like, did you buy that churro here? No, I brought it from home. It's
Totally.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon at NAMM. I brought this churro from home.
It's so weird.
Wow.
NAMM is super fun. I hope we go every year.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Tell your favorite.
Oh
We
yeah.
both went.
What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite was, and they'll never
My
watch.
brain couldn't handle it.
They'll never watch this far into this episode, and so I can tell this story.
Ooh.
I did a video called NAMM is Dead, and I did that after a summer NAMM,
Oh yeah.
and the last summer NAMM. So I was kind of right, because summer NAMM hasn't come back, and I was just pointing out that like it was half empty. Summer NAMM has not returned, obviously, and I messaged the NAMM people and said, hey, my link was wrong. It's charging me money. I'm a member of the media. I guess that's what you call this. And they didn't answer back. So I hit them up again. I was like, hey, we're out there in like 4 days. Like, can we get this handled? And they were like, so I guess this means you don't think NAMM is dead. And I was like, oh, they saw that.
They saw it.
How long have they been holding on to this?
Right.
And so then they were like, no problem. You can have a pass. Here you go.
Yeah.
And it was like, well played. That was my favorite NAMM moment, because apparently I don't know what meetings are happening, but someone is
Someone
pulling
was
up
like-
this video
Yeah.
and noticing, which is really funny. But yeah, that was my. I mean, obviously at NAMM, it's hectic. As soon as I got home from NAMM, I wished I was back at NAMM. Like I wish I could just walk around and like see new guitars and music and hear it all. But then when you're at NAMM, it's very chaotic's not the right word. It's like equal parts havoc and like disorienting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I'm in survival mode as soon as I walk in the door. Like
Yeah.
I'm tense.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
No,
like,
I actually have a similar thing. Like, it's like now my YouTube feed is full of things at NAMM.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I should have played that.
I should have went over there. How
I
come I
should
didn't
have
go over
found.
there?
I knew they were there. I should have found it.
They
but
come
it's
out
like,
too late. You're
Yeah.
already gone.
yeah, it's like
It's like being on a really nice beach vacation, but there's like a ton of mosquitoes.
right.
And so actually relaxing is impossible. But you're still in paradise if it weren't for these damn mosquitoes. You know what I
Well-
mean? Like, and so you really can't
In that
indulge.
scenario, are the mosquitoes the bass players that are slapping? Is that the sound
It's
of
the-
NAMM?
yeah.
It's the drum hall.
Yeah, the drum.
Oh my gosh.
Plus the slap bass, plus the
Oh my
trumpets.
gosh.
Or
That
the
is-
trumpet area where they bring their own mouthpiece
Yeah,
and just
try and
plug it
everything.
into a bunch of different.
People just
Yeah.
hitting cymbals to hear the
The
difference.
sound.
Just-
It's like you can always hear that snap of the slap bass. And
Always.
then you can always hear a cymbal being hit.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be near the drum section.
right.
You can just
There's
always
I
hear.
walked through it once. There was whole booths of just cymbals
Yeah, I saw
and
that
just
one.
people
Yes.
just pounding on each
Yeah,
and every one
they were
of them.
going back and
It's
forth.
absolutely crazy. We did our first NAMM, and so we should toast to the very first NAMM.
We should toast.
And so when Susan and I got back, we went to a whiskey store. This will get demonetized now or something because
yeah,
I don't know. But nobody watches. I don't even think the algorithm watches this far into these videos.
the algorithm doesn't even know we're still on.
Even the YouTube algorithm has turned this off. And Susan and I went to.
didn't get that.
Oh, shh.
Could you try?
Be quiet. Susan and I went to.
The algorithm.
It's going to tell the YouTube algorithm. I don't
Right.
think Siri and
We went to a liquor store after lunch because he's trying to open that, and we walk in and
Wait, let me get this.
pause for a cork pop.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace was out there, Blanton's, like all the stuff was out. You know,
When was this?
this was like yesterday for
Just
lunch.
yesterday.
Remember you like said you didn't want to hang out.
You were
with us.
busy.
Dang.
I know.
And you guys went to and found good bourbon? Didn't,
Well, good is we're
Well-
gonna find out. This is s'more
Well, you said-
flavored.
He got an Eagle Rare, which is a
I
great
got an
bottle.
Eagle Rare because I have
Yeah.
a bottle already, and I haven't opened it because I've been like saving it because sometimes it's hard to find, right?
Yeah,
it is.
It's not always out.
Yeah, and so then I was like, I'm not going to open it yet, and then I saw another bottle, and I was like, if I buy another bottle, I'll open the first one.
There
now.
you go.
You know,
Yeah.
now I can enjoy it guilt free,
Yeah.
and people have been drinking
But then you also
my
had
other stuff. But then I saw this s'more bird dog, bird dog s'more flavored, and I thought that is going to be so terrible or so delicious.
there's no two ways
Again,
about it.
nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smell this.
I have an idea it's gonna be good.
This
I kind of
smells
just I don't want to smell it.
insane.
I kind of just want to.
No, just smell like you're not going to be able to avoid the smell.
Wow, that's strong.
I kind of just
Oh,
want
here,
to
why
taste
don't you?
it though. Oh gosh.
I mean, they.
You're
go
not
for
into
it.
that?
No, it's
S'mores are so good.
S'mores are so good.
Do you
Pour me
guys
some
do,
of this.
Do you guys do fires in your backyard and do s'mores? Is that a thing?
No, we do it in the kitchen.
We started doing those.
We have this really hoity-toity s'more maker from Williams Sonoma because that's how you do it these days. Kids don't want to go outside. You know.
I mean,
You want to sample this, and then we'll get
Wow, that's
into the
very
guitar.
very strong.
Is it? I mean,
I
the
drink
smell.
a lot of like non-flavored whiskey, so to go to this,
I think I drink. I would say exclusively non-flavored whiskey.
Yeah.
this is flavored to.
All right, let's try this.
Let's see. Here we go.
Two guitar
cheers.
friends first NAMM. We did it.
We did it.
We did it, and we
was
made some
great.
good content. You know.
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
I mean,
Oh,
it's very strong.
it's very s'morey.
Yeah,
There might be more s'more than whiskey in here.
I'm gonna just. I think it's delicious.
I love it. The aftertaste gets weirder though.
It's like a fakeness to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is but if
You
this
know,
was a cocktail,
There's like there's like a fake vanilla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
Long tail
smoky
to it.
flavor. It's not like a complete.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's all marshmallow.
It's just the
and-
marshmallow and
but
like
it's really good.
it's really good.
If it was a cocktail, I'd be like, I'm in love.
Yeah, honestly,
So
they
it's
could
just
call
straight
this.
This with like with an ice cube
Oh man,
would be.
Oh, for sure. You want some more anyway?
I'm probably good.
Okay, you're all right.
Probably good.
No,
with
it's
this.
good though.
All right.
So they make a peanut butter whiskey as well, which I also like. It
Yeah.
sounds kind of like it would be gross.
Do
but
they
it's
make
good.
it or Old Smoky makes it?
I've
I've only had the Old Smoky. I've never even had anything from this Bird Dog
Screwball is the
company.
one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Also, these
This makes me want to
glasses,
try
by the
every
way,
single flavored whiskey.
'Cause you
everyone.
liked it.
I kind of like it.
Have you ever had Old Smoky?
No.
It's really good, and the peanut butter, the salted caramel, all the flavors are delicious.
Remember we said that? We were at a liquor store one time, and I was like, that's either really
Yes.
good.
Old Smoky's really good, and
At Nam.
this is way more forward than those are. Those are like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Really, those are
That-
really well
okay,
done.
so here's
They're
the
not
thing.
this sweet either.
So like
but they're good.
I cannot stand flavored coffee, right? I love strong black coffee. I drink my coffee black. I love that.
That's how I like my women as well.
There you go.
Wow.
That was the joke. But I hate flavored coffee because it's like it smells really good, but it doesn't taste like that. Do you know what
Is
I
it
mean?
also the fakeness, like the kind of artificial?
Maybe that's
sweet,
what it is,
like,
but this actually tastes really good.
up front is better than the like the way that it finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
lingers.
gave me this and I sipped it and you said that's whiskey, I might say no.
No, it's
syrup or
No,
something.
that's a s'more.
You put that on like
on pancakes.
vanilla ice cream.
I would go. I would. Oh
Put it
yeah.
all in
Vanilla
there.
ice cream.
That would be
Stop.
good.
Can I
can't
take
have
some?
No.
This has way. I'm
Kilwin
not even supposed
s'mores
to.
ice
Ooh, the
cream.
s'mores ice cream
That
with
on
that on
I'm not
top.
supposed to have any of this.
Oh,
Is there
sugar.
no what's it called on here?
No,
There's a ton of sugar in that, dude.
Yeah, this is
that's not on your diet.
Sorry, February 2nd,
No.
and we're already.
Well, this was a mistake, but
Hey, you could drink it in March.
I got to finish what I poured here.
Here you go.
So,
All right.
okay, delicious. We've got the
I love
s'more stuff here. Let me. I have okay. I got a question for you guys because I think there was a NAM product that is potentially the future of modeling, capture, everything, but not because it's so accurate. It's not like any of the other things. This to me hits on a trend that I'm starting to see. And I think this thing is the future of modeling. Before I tell you why I think it's the future of modeling, we all kind of looked at it, and I want to get your opinions. Like, it's the Octave Hurricane C1. I don't really know how
Hurricane?
to
It's hard to-
say
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah.
Hurricane. I don't know.
It's not Hurricane. We know that.
Yeah, it's not that. Look, it's on the screen right now, and you can see. You know, we went and checked this thing out. It's a 10-inch touchscreen, Windows 11, basically computer with ins and outs. It's like a really thick iPad, you know, and it comes with this USB. Price $798, is it? $789, something like
said
that.
800
It's about
bucks, yeah.
$800. I pre-ordered it. You can pre-order it now, and then they're going to email you when they're ready to charge you and ship them.
Was there like an estimated? This will be ready by then.
I think they said March, early
I think
March.
it's March.
Yeah, they were
So
going to
not
ship
that far.
early March.
Okay.
Not far at all. Not far at all. And they had a special right now that if you bought, you got the USB
controller thing.
for free.
Oh yeah, the MIDI controller.
Yeah. And so what do you guys think of this? Like, how does this appeal to you? And then I'll tell you why I really think this is actually groundbreaking. But does this appeal to you as a player, as a what do you think of this?
I had this weird experience because we described this very product.
We did.
on this podcast.
On this podcast,
before
we've
we
been
went.
saying, how come no one makes a VST player?
And I just thought, oh, game over. If I saw that thing, I would, this was my feeling. And then I saw it and was like, I don't really want that. You know, like it was
You
like
weren't
this
into it.
weird, like
Yeah.
I thought I wanted it. And then I saw it and was like,
Yeah.
I think this is the opposite direction of what I want, you
Yeah.
know? And I think when I left, it was more like you were saying, not because it's not good or accurate or sounds whatever. It's more just like that experience of looking at an iPad or like being on a like Windows computer. It just feels distant from where I want to head, which is I like that the Kemper kind of feels like an amp and has knobs and like sits on a cabinet. I like that, the Tonex is just like sits there
Yes.
and it's got a couple knobs on it. I don't have
Yes.
to know how Windows works or like
Yes.
close a browser or like go through and make sure my outputs are set.
Yeah.
I'm playing within 5 seconds of turning
You
the
want to
thing
play
on.
an amp
Yeah.
And at best, like an emulation of an amp that feels kind of amp-like,
Right.
so that you can just get right to the tone.
Yeah.
You don't want to play a computer.
Yeah, and so when I'm at my computer and I pull up like Logic and pull up there's already a little bit of separation there. Like I got to get a channel open and I got to make sure it's set to record, and like all the stuff and pull up the thing. I'm okay with that because I'm at a computer. It's like this is necessary for me to record this part right now for the song. But when I saw it on a pedal board, I was like, I think I'm out. I think that's not for me.
John, what do you think?
I had a similar thought. It was like, and I was almost feeling this tension of like, this is what I said I wanted. Here it is, but I don't want it. Like, why is that? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's kind of along the same lines. My big thing is like, I can't imagine bringing that onto a stage. And I get like, okay, so then you have the MIDI controller that's separate from the thing. But then I started really thinking about like VSTs and plugins and the channel. And VSTs are something you add to a channel. And the reason you have a channel is because you want to record that channel. It's not like here's a preset and here's a performance, right? Where you've got like different things and you're switching back and forth between them. Now, is it possible? I guess, right? The other thing that he was saying too is like, he's like, then you can just watch movies on it too, because it's a Windows computer. And I was
Right,
like,
it has all this functionality built in.
we have left the reservation. Now it's like, but again though, it's like, but it does what I said I wanted it to do.
So I'm not surprised because that was kind of my reaction too. And I thought, how am I going to where would I put this? And Suze, you kept asking, would you put this on the floor or would you put it up higher?
Right.
And it has the foot controller, which kind of feels like, I'd put it up higher, but the ins and outs are down there. So it almost feels like you need to plug into it. So it needs to be kind of close to your guitar. But it really makes me think it's hitting on this trend, whether this is the form factor or not, that ultimately becomes the most popular, is yet to be seen. But I think that for players like you guys and myself, who are amp guys, we were all amp players. We all had pedal boards and amps. You know what I'm saying? This s'more flavor is just delicious.
You can just smell it nearby.
It really is good.
And it's good, yeah.
We all come from that analog world. And then we've gone digital. And so like you were saying, Suze, we want our digital stuff to feel a little bit amp-like, to sort of mimic that experience that we had with the amps. I myself really love, a lot of the parameters that you can get in a digital amp, a lot of the flexibility, but I also don't want to menu dive. I don't want to go too deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to feel inhibited by the interface.
Yeah.
And so this, to me, I look at this and I go, interesting. I'm actually not the player who would reach for this, but I encounter so many people who use Neural Amp Modeler, who use software VSTs. They live at the computer. They're really producers. And this solves the problem for them of, I live in this world. I have all this stuff. I want to take these tones with me. And it solves another problem, which is there is an increasing number of open source things appearing that rival in quality what you can buy. Now, in true open source fashion, they're usually not as feature rich, right? It's usually one thing, and you got to like push all this stuff together to make a fully featured, right? Like Pro Tools always has features before Reaper gets them. Reaper's open source. Logic has beautiful packaging, and you put in the amps and everything, and it's great. It's really designed for a consumer. Reaper's like, the interface is like 3 out of 10, but it works. It works. Right. Like, trust us, it works.
And it's free.
And it's free.
Right.
Like we put the effort where it belongs. You know what I mean? But we didn't do the rest of it. But then you just jump into, Logic, and it's Apple, and it's like, great. I like, this is beautiful, and it works great way. And so this to me hits on this trend that we're seeing now. It's huge on the software side. There's all of this open source. There's Ada, there's Guitar ML, there's NAMM. There's been VSTs that are open source forever. It hits on this, the community can do things that a company's not going to do. And all of these things are out there. And so it to me hits this sort of like, We see it on the software side with Genome. You see that Genome just came out from, what's the company? Two Notes. And so Two Notes and Amplifier, that company Amplifier, who makes the Amplifier box, they both just released software. And they said, here's our proprietary modeling. Here's our effects. Here's our everything. But also, you can bring in your open source stuff that you already have. We want you to use things outside of our environment and bring it in. And this feels like this is why I say it's the future of modeling. This unit feels like the very first piece of hardware that says, bring in the stuff outside of our proprietary control. Bring in the open source stuff. And so while I'm not sure this form factor or just having a Windows machine is where we're all going to end up, I wonder if the idea, like try this on for size. What if Quad Cortex 2 says, hey, we're also compatible with the top 30 popular guitar plugins? Valhalla, this delay thing, this from this competing company. We've already mapped all the buttons. We can run it. We made sure we can run it. All you got to do is like buy it and install it, right? Because like we're running our own proprietary thing, but we could run Windows in like a dual boot. What is that called when you run like another operating system in an environment?
Like a virtual machine.
We could like. What if the Quad Cortex 2 is so advanced it can run a virtual machine of Windows, so you can play your VSTs and drop them in a single effect block in your Quad
Cortex.
Cortex.
Look like its own delays and reverbs.
It's all Quad Cortex like we know and love, but one of those blocks, it could actually run a virtual Windows machine to use your favorite Valhalla reverb and just bring it in.
That would be great.
Insanely good. And so that's where I go, the more open source expands, just like in the tech world has happened, right? The more it expands, the more those things become legitimized, the more people build commercial products on open source technology. And it becomes, yes, this code is open source, but we've used it to make a better UI, a better UX, a better whatever. We've integrated it with proprietary stuff to really take the user in mind of what you're trying to achieve. And that becomes like the fish hook to go, oh, you got that huge library of NAMM amps? Come over here. The fences aren't meant to keep you out. Our proprietary walls aren't meant to, we don't want them to keep you out. We want them to keep you in.
I think that, so, okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, you're a programmer, John. You're a software engineer. I want to hear what you think about this.
Well, and this is what's interesting about digital guitar gear. They're all computers.
Right.
We just talked earlier about how the Kemper is programmed with assembly code. You know what else is programmed with assembly code? Mac OS.
Right.
Right. Like it's all the same thing, right? It's all a chip, and you have to program the chip to do what you want it to do. I think really what we're very used to is like we're very used to pieces of equipment that do a single function, right? Like I'm looking at that wall of Fender amps over there. Each one of those things
so beautiful.
Each one of those things does exactly one thing, right? It makes your guitar loud. That's all it does.
Totally.
That's all it's for.
No Netflix.
There's no Netflix, but there's, maybe there's reverb or tremolo, right? But there's no like distortion pedal.
Is season 2 out?
There's no. So it's like, I think that's what we're used to. We're used to things that are built for that purpose. Windows is not. Windows is just a generic user operating system.
Yes.
And it is not built for that. And maybe that's a plus for some people. For me, that's a negative because I don't want to mess with Windows. I just want to turn my guitar on. So one thing I researched recently was how to, like, are there people doing this now? Right? And I think I mentioned to you at NAMM, you could do this. What this unit is a computer and an audio interface.
Yes.
In one unit.
100%.
You can take your laptop and you can take your iScarlett 2 and you can take all the power supplies and you can roll up onto a stage and you can set all this up and you can play that way.
My friend Ben did this, but go on.
It's possible.
No, of course.
But it's possible.
Nothing proprietary is going on here. Yeah.
So why don't people do that? Why?
It's a pain.
Well, hang on.
No.
Some people do. And I do think the other problem is where are you going to put your laptop? My MacBook, I'll tell you one reason I'm not going to do it. Not only even if I wanted to, if I said, these are the tones I want, I wish I could bring it with me. My number one reason would become, I don't want to have my MacBook open. Like, go ahead, finish what you're saying, because I think I have yeah, go ahead.
The reason that I would not do that right now is, like, I would much rather call you guys and be like, hey, can I borrow a Quad Cortex this weekend?
Yes.
Right? Than bring my own stuff, even though it's my tones, it's what I want, right? I wouldn't do that because it's not built for that. And to me, it's cumbersome, and it's like, this stuff is not meant for this. Like, if you step on it, it's going to be broken. If the Quad Cortex is designed to be stepped on, right?
Yes.
That thing is not designed to be stepped on. It's not designed to be on a stage, I'm convinced. It's designed to be portable, yes, and it is.
The Hurricane.
The Hurricane thing. It's not designed to be stepped on. It's a touchscreen computer.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think they're saying, I think in fairness though, like, they are selling you a foot switch with it. It's like, and that's a separate unit.
I get that.
So do you think this is more appropriate to be not on the floor, but on a stage?
For sure. It has to be not on the floor.
Because that's where I go, this is such a better, this is
right.
And at $800.
So look, here's what I would say. The next iteration of something like this is everything it does right now, but not Windows. And you can create patches out of VSTs or whatever else, and you can assign them to memory, and you can build performances just like you do on a Kemper
but
or
I think
whatever else.
In the DAWs, you can do that because you can create presets in your DAW where your DAW saves the loaded VST and the parameters.
No, it totally does.
Yeah. And so that's what you're recalling.
It totally does. But
there's
there's
agreed that the user experience to do that is you in a DAW creating a preset and then basically assigning that to what would through Windows to like an external controller.
That's what I'm saying. It's possible, and I don't get me wrong, I applaud them for making this product because I think it's like, oh, that's what we've asked for, but it doesn't do this and this and this. And that's the really important thing, is getting at what is the gap between a computer on the stage that runs VSTs with a foot switch and what we actually want.
I think in fairness though, what you and I are asking for is something more like a consumer computer that we have today, to use an analogy. And where this space is the Commodore 64, where everything comes on a floppy disk. And so the user of that is already a highly technical person who is already like in love with their, like, I do think, you and I are kind of, what we really meant we wanted was, I want a Quad Cortex or a Helix that I can just load my VST and all the knobs come up already pre-done. And it's like, it almost looks like it's native in there.
Yes.
And what they're really responding to, what I think this unit does really well, is if you're one of those people who's been like waiting for Quad Cortex to give you plug-in integration, I wonder if you're not a person who would like this unit. Because you might just like, you're like, I live in my studio. I only play in my VSTs. And I don't really even play any other way. I only record, I only do this. I just want to take it with me for when I'm playing live. This is still my main spot in the studio.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I said.
And I just want to take this with me. And to me, it's like, this is, like you said, it is an interface and a Windows machine, and it's better for that. But also, I think what is cool about this, like we got to acknowledge, is like, you can just run Ableton from it. Like, so you can run your VSTs, but you can also like cue tracks in Ableton. They're not building that into the Quad Cortex for church anytime soon.
For sure not.
Like, there's not nearly enough demand for that. So a lot of times, if you're the keyboard player, the laptop's not a big deal because you kind of already have flat surfaces that are easy to get you something. Like it's easier to do. In my church, the drummer often does it because it's not a big deal for him to have a thing next to it. He cues the track and he cues the metronome. But if you're a guitar player, if you're a band leader who's doing that and you're cueing tracks, to me, this feels like it better integrates with like a guitar rig rather than bringing my MacBook. Because where the guitar player stands on stage, I feel like at a normal performance, I don't always feel like it's very easy to get some sort of a surfacey desk.
No, it
rack
has to
unit
be
to get a laptop.
It has
kind of got to like go reach for it.
It has to be. Look, and that's the thing. It's like I think you had said like, well, now what do I do? How do I plug into it?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, the same way that you used to plug into your amp that was 10 feet behind you,
Right,
with a longer
cord.
cable. Do you know what I mean? This
I
thing
guess
just
that's true.
goes further away,
Yeah.
And
and
if I
it's
want to
like
make a change, I don't go back to my amp and make a. I got to go to Windows 11
that's the
and
thing.
make a change.
And so
Well,
look,
but hang
okay,
on,
hold on.
but
So let me explain
the
something.
VST can be up, like the amp thing can just be up. So like now you don't have to run like you don't have to run a DAW. You can just play you can just play Helix
Right.
native.
They had like
natively, and it would just look like your Helix.
right.
You know.
Okay, let me explain something about products. Let me explain something about how products are built and how they become successful.
Yeah.
And this applies to any product. But what they have done is they've created something that appeals to a group of early adopter type people, right?
Yeah, definitely.
There's this idea called crossing the chasm, where there's a bunch of early adopters that are willing to use stuff that is kind of not working well,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Sure.
But they
Yeah.
really love the technology. They're passionate about whatever it solves, and so they're willing to put up with a lot more, things that are problematic than an average customer. But then there's a huge gap
Yes.
before you get to mass market appeal.
Yes.
And so what these guys have done is they've begun that process where they have built a product, and this is why it's so important to do this. They've built a product, it will be adopted by these early adopter type people, and if they're smart, they will elicit feedback from those people and say, what do you wish it did? What is the biggest thing that this thing is lacking? What is the thing that we didn't think about, right? And they'll take that feedback and they will iterate on that product to make it appeal to more and more and more people. And then eventually they will, hopefully cross that chasm to where it's now they've they've settled on a unit and created it, and it appeals to the maximum number of people,
Yeah.
So I think it's great. I think it's a great step forward. I don't think I would use it yet.
Yeah. Well, I pre-ordered one because I feel like let me try this and see what it feels like.
Yeah.
I'm also not convinced that in my environment I couldn't put this on the floor. I understand that that a lot of people go there's kind of a joke online where it's like people are like, what do you do about is there any protection for the Helix or for the Kemper? Like, what do you do about spilled drinks? And then a lot of people always comment and they're like, what are you talking? Like, where are you playing? But for that guy, he's like, I'm playing in a cheap bar where there might not be a stage. It's actually the corner of a room.
Right.
And maybe there's like a mosh pit.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want it to break, This is just where I play. I'm in an environment where if I mounted this thing on a pedal board, and even more if it was a pedal board with two shelves. Remember how we used to have all those pedal boards with a back shelf on the top? My old pedal board used to have
risers
that.
and
I feel like that was more popular back 10 years ago or so. If I put this on one of those units, no one's going to step on it. I'm not going to lean forward and step on it. Like if I got to step over a stack of pedals and then that thing's there, I'm not going to step over and put weight on it. Like that's never going to accidentally happen. And if it's in a hard case,
No, I get it.
it's probably not, it's probably going to be just fine. I mean, look, what we're saying, look, here's it. You're telling me I can't break this screen this as easily as I can break that screen? Like the Helix, everything's just got plastic over it. This is a touchscreen. So no one's saying, don't put a touchscreen on the Quad Cortex. It'll break, right? It's like we all just go, well, there's knobs there and there's a touchscreen there. Don't put your heel on it and push. Like don't do that, right? It's like, so I think there's some level of I think you could put this on a board. Now, I wouldn't put it out in the middle of nowhere on a stage. Someone might step on it, and I don't know. This is meant to be stepped on. I don't know. I don't know what they've tested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it is to settle. But I think a small touchscreen on a stage you could get away with. Maybe I would integrate it into something that had a case for transport and stuff.
Are you worried about communion juice? What about that spilling everywhere?
Hey, man. Everything needs the blood. You know what I'm saying?
Just sprinkled.
Everything needs the blood.
Sprinkled.
Look, I mean, I'm sure it would be fine most of the time.
Yeah.
And
Certainly in my church setting,
if you
I never
drop a
feel
guitar on a Quad Cortex, it's probably going to break also, right?
Yes.
Or it won't.
a drink or step or whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
You helped me figure out when you were saying everything's a computer, that's it. And when I used to have an analog delay pedal, when the Strymon Timeline came out, I was like, well, look at this thing. This thing does analog and a bunch of it, and then someone's like, well, that's just a computer. When it came out, you're just playing a computer now. I was like, I don't care. This feels like a pedal. Right. It's got knobs. It's got a little screen. I can't add octaves. I can't add just
because the user interface of it is indistinguishable from a pedal.
Yeah, they've limited the capabilities of it so much down to just what an analog delay does. Yeah. You can make it last longer. You can make it louder and darker and brighter. That's it. And so that's like the perfect marriage of like, it's digital, but it's also not confusing to me. So a product like this actually goes way the other way and says it's digital, and there's like a lot to overcome for me to program stuff and make sure everything's routed correctly.
But I think it's for the guy who goes, I wish I had my computer, and they're like, here, this is your computer, but way more portable.
Totally, which isn't me.
Right.
No, and that's the thing. There are people that
are going crazy.
There are people that are doing that are bringing their laptops
like
and their interfaces to a gig, and they're doing it, and it's fine.
What I wanted was the Valhalla delay and reverb and a timeline pedal.
Right.
Bring them onto my pedal board, but not like this. This feels too much,
totally. Right. And Susan and I were talking earlier. I was going I think what we like in our head. It's like I wish someone could say, this unit is the quad. Here's the Quad Cortex in form factor. Right, it's got knobs and it's got these buttons, and that's not so far away from what we got, what this is, except it's separate pieces. Right, there's buttons and there's a touch screen. Right, but it's separate pieces. But it'd be great but you still got to set up all the routing and the, you've got a computer and a controller, and it's just a small computer to take with you, and it's touch screen. It's great. You don't need a keyboard. You don't need a mouse. You'll be able to manipulate it live when you're out there. So it's a better use when you're outside than a laptop would be, if you want to go that way.
I think I would argue it's actually the same as a laptop. It's just a different form factor. Everything.
Yeah. But I would say I'm not going to put my laptop on the floor. I'm not going to put it on I don't know. I'm worried about my laptop getting stolen if I take it out, like to a bar. I wouldn't leave a MacBook at a bar on the stage. Well, I'd be shutting that thing down, unplugging it, and taking it with me after sound check, which defeats the purpose of sound check.
Well, because
this I think you get away with.
Yeah, but if you replaced instead of thinking about it as your laptop, that's a $3,000 MacBook Pro. If you replace that with like a $400 HP,
yes,
right,
true.
All of a sudden, it's really just more about, well, I don't want to break it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So I think what we really ideally, we'd love it if the Quad Cortex, if that unit or that form factor, whatever, came and said, here you go. If you just plug into your computer, we've already made it compatible with the top 25 plugins that are used.
Right.
All the button routing and mapping is done. Yeah. What do you play? Do you play Helix Native? Do you play Neural DSP? Do you play these things? We've already made it feel like a thing.
Right.
Does that make sense? And then it's like, just choose what you own or what you already want to buy. And then you can combine sounds from this VST that you like, this, right. And maybe the interface then would look.
But that's the thing, though. You don't need Quad Cortex to do that. Like, all of that is possible right now. You could get a Looptimus pedal or a Morning Glory or a Morningstar, and you could set up a cheap laptop and an audio interface, and you could wire up all the MIDI.
I know you don't need a Quad. I just meant I think you want a unit that is so compact, like it's the screen and the buttons in one, like the look of that, like rather than getting like multiple.
But you can't do that, and that's the thing. You can't do that without building a specific user interface just for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Quad Cortex is just a computer.
Yes.
But it's a computer that only does one thing.
Yes. And it's their software.
It's not confusing to use.
And it's not confusing to use. It's like the Apple TV. The Apple TV is just a tiny little iPad with no screen.
Right.
That's all it is. Actually, the very first Apple TVs had the same hardware as a Mac Mini did. Right, it was literally the same, and it just ran a modified version of Mac OS or OS 10 at that point. Right,
it just had apps for watching shows and stuff.
Well, and it would just launch the Apple TV app when it first opened. Like that was it. Wow. You know what I mean? Now it's like a full operating system, right? TV OS is the whole thing. Which again, it's just Mac OS under the hood with a different skin on top. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like this is not groundbreaking technology. These things aren't new.
Yeah, totally.
It's
totally.
really just a matter of finding what's and I'm a huge fan of products built to serve a specific purpose and serve that purpose well, not products that can do
but
all
what's
of
the
these
solution?
things.
Because on the software side, the open source stuff has started about 18 months ago and it has not stopped, and it
Right.
didn't exist before that.
Right.
Not open source, but open source capture tech.
Sure.
Like it kind of just sprung up. All of a sudden, it's like open source IR loader, open source IR creator, open source this, open source that, and this is like kind of it's just the open source stuff's coming into the guitar community, and I think that's creating a demand for hardware. Because people are using it and they're going,
Right.
I like free, I like sharing. You've even seen on NAMM, not even the people who do NAMM, but a third party has said, we'll create the directory for NAMM. So put all your stuff here. Like they went, oh, we like Quad Cortex, Pages, and the app for sharing. We'll build our version of that, but it's for NAMM. Right. And it wasn't Steve. It wasn't NAMM. It was a third-party guy who said, I just like NAMM, and I wish there was a place we could all deposit our stuff, rate it, put descriptions. He just wanted to look nice. And so
you guys are, this is so funny because
Yeah,
it's like worlds colliding for me.
Yeah.
So like everyone's roughly heard of like the Linux operating system,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You sound like every Linux user ever, right? It's like we have everything you guys have.
no, I don't mean that. I just
No,
mean,
but that's
Yeah.
what it is, right? It's
they're
like
trying
all
to
of this
have-
stuff is free. Why would you pay so much
Yeah.
money for that over there?
No, that's not my opinion because
No,
I
I'm
think
just-
I think from a user standpoint, it's all pretty shitty to use right now.
Yeah.
But I acknowledge that someone at least saw this is so terrible to use. I can make it better this way.
And here's the thing,
Yeah.
is that there are always people who just love tinkering.
Yeah.
And it's like making the thing work is just as
Yes.
satisfying as playing it when it does.
So
Right.
true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's the thing. It's like,
And people-
this is
yeah.
who this appeals to right now. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the whole crossing the chasm thing.
Yeah.
You've got all of these early adopters who are willing to like figure out how to write code to make this stuff work together. 99.9%
No,
of
of
people are
course,
never
of
going to
course.
even approach that.
And people buy products, not technology.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like, and again, I'm all for it, right? Like, the Linux operating system is the reason that we have the technology. And I mean, like, just globally.
Yes, yeah.
That we have today.
Yeah.
Right. It is what Mac OS is built on, or Unix, right? It's like the things that these are good ideas and we should develop them.
People build on them and create great products.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. I've been a user of open source software for 20 years in other, in my other life or whatever. But the whole point is,
You mean you don't only come on Guitar Friends?
I know this isn't my full-time job.
You have a day job.
Guitar Friends is not the only thing I do. But the whole point is, open source software is excellent, but it also comes with no guarantees. It comes with no returns. There's no support. There's no nothing. It's up
Yes.
to you to
Right.
make it work or not work.
Yeah.
Right.
And most people are not interested in that.
Yes.
I'm thinking of a continuum right now. This is like me summing up what I'm hearing you guys go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like everyone plays analog delays. Then some people look at the timeline and they go, that's not rock and roll. That's a computer. I'm staying over here.
Right.
But then I was like, I'll play that. So I jumped over the timeline. Now I look over and look at Kemper and people are like, I'll play a timeline, but not a Kemper. That's not rock and roll.
Totally.
Play an amp. And I was like,
Totally.
no, I'll jump into that. So then I jumped into that. So now I'm far away from the
Yeah.
analog delay.
Right.
And now I'm sitting here looking at this thing going, that's not rock and roll. I want to play I will go no further.
Totally.
Because it's like it feels
That
less
is.
rock and roll.
It really
But
is.
to the guys that only play the deluxe memory man, a timeline is like an abomination.
Right.
It's got a screen, it's got presets, it's got a power. Like, no, I'm not into that.
And they see a product and they just think that's not for me.
That's not for me, man.
right.
Somewhere Moby is planning his next world tour, and he's going, finally, a box that will let me run my crazy multimedia slideshow
Right.
while I play weird sounds on the guitar.
Yeah,
He's
in a-
found his
in a
rig.
pedal,
Right?
yeah.
It's like, I remember that.
Totally.
Right? And
That's
he's
a
like,
good
and he's like,
endorsee,
I've
you know?
never found an amp that does this. Right?
Right,
It's like,
right.
no unit
Yeah.
lets me also do this, you know?
Yeah.
Super interesting.
No, I applaud it. I hope it goes somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's so early too. I like what you're saying about iterations.
So
They
early.
could get this in a couple iterations where I would
Yes.
make that jump.
for sure.
But can I
know?
tell you the coolest thing I saw, though? It has to do with compatibility. I asked the guy who was there, I was like, so this runs everything? He's like, anything on Windows 11. And he goes, I just went over to the Genome booth and got a copy, and we made Genome run on this. He literally, because it's Windows 11,
Right.
he was able to walk over
just
to
open it
another
up.
booth who had just released a product at the same trade show he's releasing his, and he got it to work. Like,
Right.
he just got it to put it on.
Right.
And so I was actually sitting there. I looked at both Genome and I looked at this product. And for me, I looked at this and went, oh, I could put NAM and Helix Native together on this unit. But then I saw they launched Genome, and I went, well, no, I would just play Genome instead.
Right.
I would just put my NAM captures into Genome and probably play their effects. They seem fine, from the demo I saw. I haven't tried Genome.
yeah.
And that, to me, is so cool that, like, there's probably better software in VST coming out next year. The other thing is, nothing stops a software maker next year from pre-mapping all the stuff on a popular piece of hardware and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all possible if you know what people are going to use. So I just think, man, there's clearly this shift where people in the software world, Genome and Amplifier, are acknowledging, I have a new piece of software. I want to get people in the door. I want people to use it. And the open source thing is happening. And a lot of people have great amp tones there, and they've got captures. Their favorite tones are there. If I let them use it on my platform, I can give them the additional benefit, and maybe they'll come in and stay.
The other thing, yes.
And it creates this demand for hardware
Right.
that somebody's got to fill.
Well, the other thing that's really interesting about it is, like, VSTs right now, up until this point, are primarily for recording. They are not primarily for live performance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think what we're seeing is, like, digital, like someone said it when we were there, someone was like, look, it used to be like all these fenders on the wall that a guitar amp's main purpose was to make the guitar loud enough to hear. Now it's just another effect
Yes.
that's happening on the
is.
signal, right? And
Yeah.
so it's not making it louder. What's making it louder is something way not related to your guitar rig at all,
The PA system.
right? Exactly. And so now it's just an effect. And so I feel like the VST thing, now that people, like you said, like so many people are jumping toward the digital, and even people who are maybe a few steps behind are more open than they've ever been to digital stuff. I think this is a clear marker that, like, this is where people are headed. Our guitar amps are going to become more and more like computers as we go from here. They're not going to go backwards.
Yes, correct. Correct.
Right.
We're not going to all go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, unless you're like one of the internet is a fad people. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah. The internet's a fad.
This will be gone in 5
Yeah.
years.
No one's going to be using the internet in 5 years. Last thing I'll say, I think big advantage of this unit over a computer. I own a computer and an interface. I could bring it to church. I have no idea how to tell my computer, please don't look up my email while I'm in the middle of an audio performance. Please don't search for an update.
Right.
Give me some weird notification sound. Please mute all my texts.
Right.
Please mute all notifications. Please
don't go to sleep.
Please do nothing. Yes. Please do nothing but what I'm trying to do. Yes.
Please don't go to sleep and
Yeah.
make me type in my password in the
Yes,
middle
like,
of my guitar
I
solo.
don't even know how to turn that stuff off.
Right.
And if I need it to work, just don't do anything else.
Right.
I don't know how to do that. And that actually feels way more scary. Even once I learn how to do it,
Right.
it feels way more scary that I would overlook something. This unit, I'd never sign into my email.
Of course
I'd never
not.
turn on any
It
notifications.
does one thing.
I'd never do
Exactly.
anything. I would just put this on.
Exactly.
I might watch Netflix on a plane or something.
Oh boy.
Because then I don't need to put it in my bag.
Oh my
I can
gosh.
just hold it as an iPad.
That's a thick iPad.
Bunch of cables coming out of it.
Your headphones are
pedal
coming
You're
board.
like, but does your iPad have stereo ins and
Yeah.
outs?
I could even distort and delay my Netflix shows.
I'm controlling. Yeah. I'm choosing my Netflix from MIDI over
Right.
here on the other device.
You got a
Wow.
foot switch.
You
You're
could,
like, no, I don't like this
You're
one.
like fast forwarding.
Foot switch.
you could EQ them. I love it.
I wonder what it sounded like if I put the Valhalla reverb on Stranger Things.
Oh my gosh.
So much better. All of it would be better.
Wow. I think that sums it up, basically.
I think that does sum it up.
That's what we really
Yeah.
want.
If
Yeah.
you haven't put your Valhalla reverb on Stranger Things,
What
You
are
haven't
even
lived.
doing?
yeah.
What are you even
Come
doing?
on. You know? Suze, you've been on the Head Rush a ton.
Yeah.
We've had the head rush for well over a year. What are 1 year later? What are our thoughts on the head rush? I did a review of the head rush as part of the launch content, and I remember staying up until 2 a.m. in the morning. Kind of just trying to, so I could be the first video out there. And
I like it.
yeah, it was great.
The commitment to tone.
Yes, I just wanted to. I was like, I want to get my video out first. Because I was
A
excited.
lot of people
about
don't
it.
know the H and HW stands for hustle.
Hustle. Yeah.
Solid, John. Two.
Good. So I was really excited about the unit. I thought it did a lot of things really well. I thought a touchscreen unit that looks like the Helix at this price point is awesome, was awesome. But we haven't done a ton with it, and I've gotten some requests. We finally now have a bunch of stuff out for the head rush. Suze, you've spent more time than anybody. What's a year later? Go ahead. What are our thoughts on the head rush? Head rush Prime.
Yeah.
And core. The core unit's just a little smaller.
I would say the first thing is throw all of the amps and cabinets into the trash can.
Like
Like,
the stock sounds.
Just
People
don't
are going to say
even-
we're self-serving right now. People are going to say we're self-serving.
This is my opinion of using the thing.
Okay.
I have the same opinion about Fractal, although I'm kind of coming around with some of the new IRs. But that's my main thing. Is like when when we got the Toemaster Pro and we got that, I do the same thing. I just pull up an AC30, delays, reverbs, couple drives, compressor, and like play a G chord, and it's like, okay, cool, like that. So this is the baseline of how this pedal sounds.
Yeah.
Now, how could I improve this? Like, let's go grab an IR, or let's go change out the amps. Or
You
whatever,
don't look. You don't look at like the black is back preset and
Well-
put together in your head that this must be an AC/DC sound.
Yeah, that's the first,
You know what I mean? Like,
15
it's
minutes is just
Yes, right. Whereas
scrolling through.
just trying to figure out what
yeah.
the sound refers to.
Right,
Wind
and-
cries Josephine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gotta be some band, right?
It's always weird names.
And they're so proud of themselves for naming them
Totally.
the way they do.
Yes,
you know?
right.
So I did all that with the head rush back then. I remember when you brought it out and played it. I think probably that same week, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty realistic. Like the amp sounds good, and it's got like a nice squish." And then we didn't play it for like a year,
Yeah.
So when I came back to it, I did that very thing, and I was like, "I'm just not feeling this thing. Like it's like I'm used to the Kemper, I'm used to the Quad Cortex. Like this is not it,
Yeah, we had a lot of requests, and I just didn't have the capacity to really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes time to jump in.
Yeah, and I watched the community, and I just wasn't sure where people were at.
yeah, are there a lot of users?
yeah,
Are there
yeah.
whatever? So then it was like, just kind of haphazardly. I was like, I just want to try to do an amp capture. So I tried a Marshall amp and put it in there and did the capture, and then went back and forth, and I had the same feeling with the Kemper. I was like, oh my gosh, there's no difference. Wow. So then I thought, okay, throw all those amps and cabs out. What they're saying an AC30 sounds like, what they're saying a deluxe reverb, let's capture amps, and put them in there. And so once I started doing that, I started seeing that thing come to life, and like it unlocked the potential of like all the amp clones. Now I will say the amp cloning on there is a little bit frustrating because
Yeah.
sometimes it can hit it, and sometimes it can be way
Yeah,
off.
and I tend to
that's
notice
frustrating.
it's something about it's these two things. It's something about compression and gain. It can like get confused between these two things.
Yeah.
Like if something is more compressed, it'll think it's more gainy.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. If it's
Yes.
very gainy, it can think there's a very compressed sound, but it won't get the gain right. It'll be cleaner. But it seems
So does it have a hard time with high gain stuff, or is
No,
it
what he
just,
said is exactly
just hit or
it.
miss?
it just sometimes
It sounds good when it spits out the amp clone, but it's like the amp on 9 or something. So like you go to the gain control it has, you turn it all the way off, and you can't make it clean. Which is not. I did like a a profile on the clean sound.
Yeah, and
weird.
there is
It's
like kind of a
it's very
hit or miss
strange.
quality because it feels like sometimes it's super accurate and then other times it's a little it's wonky. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like wonky. Like this, what happened?
And I've even done. I mean, we've seen it a couple times on the Kemper, but I've even done an amp capture, and it did that thing, and I
Yes.
just hit restart.
Yes,
and
I've
it came
done
out
that. Yeah,
perfectly
for sure.
I didn't change
For
the
sure.
thing.
What
you know?
about what have you tried that on the head rush, or you just like try it again?
Turn off and turn back on.
That's what I mean. Like, so I've done that with the head rush where I was
And then
cloning
it's
something.
fine.
I didn't change anything. I just hit try again, and it came out perfect.
and it's fine.
The second time. So
Yeah.
something wonky happened with the first one. So that's frustrating. I mean,
So
the
I'll
effect-
tell you what
But
I
when
think
it
that
works,
is.
it works well.
when it works, it's dead on.
Because I'll tell you what I think. I know on the Kemper because I've experienced that.
Yeah.
And what I noticed about the Kemper is if your return level is too high or too low, the Kemper will give you a warning that says, I can't hear the amp. Or it'll tell you the amp is clipping the Kemper return. What it doesn't tell you is, I've also just adjusted it. Because if you actually look, the return volume has now changed. So what it tells you is, it's kind of strange that actually it's not programmed to just adjust it and keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
Which maybe that would be another problem if maybe that got wonky and it was adjusting it, erroneously.
It didn't tell you. Yeah.
But I wonder if there's something that it also, like when it messes up, it also makes an adjustment or something.
compensates,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then next time it gets it right. Because the Kemper does do that with return level.
Yeah, could be that.
I don't know who knows what goes on inside,
Yeah.
but
So once you have a good amp sounds, you're like pretty far down the road. It's like, wow, this is sounding really good. And it's got a gain range and everything. Then you go to the effects, and I kind of have the same feeling of like, well, the Klon is like great. I could put the Klon all over the presets. They sound fantastic.
yeah.
And then the fuzzes are not good, and like some of the overdrives are like super exaggerated versions of those overdrives.
yeah.
Like it kind of like if you find one that you like, then you hit gold. Like you keep using that one,
right.
but you can't just like wander around the pedal and everything's going to sound great. And that is true of something maybe like a Fractal. It's like these are all pretty good, like across the board. The effects. So same thing with the delays and the reverbs. I ran into a couple things where like an effect needed a volume knob to like compensate for turning it on and off. Like, in a chorus, you turn it on, it jumps 3 dB. It's like, whoa, that's so loud.
Yeah,
It's
and
like a boost got turned
they
on.
chose to be like more true to the pedals and only
Yeah.
put in the parameters that are like on the pedals.
Yeah, no volume.
Whereas like on some other units, you get sometimes too many extra things.
Yeah.
But you usually at least get a volume.
Or like
and-
the Helix when they all get the same things.
They all have some
right,
sort
like
of volume.
yeah, presence and other and other
Even
yeah.
stuff that doesn't exist on
yeah,
the pedals.
right.
Totally.
Or like Kemper, even the overdrives have a mix control.
Right.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Well,
kind of
why
strange,
not?
but why?
Yeah,
okay,
right.
but cool. Like everything, I don't mind a mix control and everything. Not
Yeah.
a terrible addition.
Yeah.
But they tried to be kind of accurate with the control, so there's no volume on
Yeah,
some of
you
those.
just got to be careful when you go through the effects that like I found some that sounded really good before the amp, but really bad after the amp. But you go to a different chorus, it sounds great wherever you put it. So it's just like odd things like that. Same thing in the Toemaster Pro, where it just felt like I don't know if I can use all of these effects.
And maybe that's somewhat true to the
yeah,
to
it
the
might
thing, like it
really
might-
brighten your signal when it's on or something.
Yeah.
And so that's probably my biggest gripe about it. Like the amp sounds good, the capabilities are great. Like it,
some
it's
of
got
the effects hit me as a little hi-fi compared to some of the other things like some of the verbs. It wasn't. I didn't feel like
yeah.
oh, this one's the big sky. Like it didn't feel like
Yeah.
cloud. It definitely felt like their own things, and there's
Yeah.
like some more studio style things.
And they've taken a lot from you were saying from their plugins or like some of the other things that they own. They've thrown them all in there.
Yes, yes, yeah. You can even see that with different effects and different captures. You can kind of see where they've just it was this product and then this product and this product, and
Yeah.
we bought
How much does that cost?
this thing is $12.99.
Huh.
So even with the Helix's latest $200 price decrease, it's $200 cheaper, and the core is even cheaper. There's a core
That's a
version of
smaller
this.
unit. Does it just not have the volume pedal or the pedal?
No volume pedal, and has like one row of knobs, but it has all of the same processing.
Same.
It has a touch screen. And it
Yeah.
works great.
That was
Yeah.
one of the first ones to have touchscreen. I remember that.
Yeah,
before
and
the QC? No, QC, I guess was before.
yeah,
huh?
QC was first, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and then this. But this also has a great representation of like the gear. Like I kind of like looking at.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It
It
looks
looks
like
like the
gear,
right thing.
like the Tone Master. It's like they tried to make it look like the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing's off the screen here. You don't have to scroll side to side. There isn't some pedal that you might
right.
not see.
I forgot
I
about
forgot
Remember
about that too.
Yeah.
How dumb that is on the Tone
They're
Master.
like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why is there reverb on the end of this?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a
Yeah.
reverb
Oh, let
pedal.
me
way over here.
scroll over to an effect I can't see.
You don't scroll over on your pedal board in real life.
No,
scroll
and
over.
I don't. On no screen do I really do that. You
To
know?
look for hidden information.
Yeah.
It's like an Easter egg. Oh my gosh, there's a reverb.
One time, can I tell you guys
Yeah,
a story?
please.
One time when I was in the band, we plugged in a whammy pedal into someone's guitar, like in the effects loop of the guitar. We didn't tell him.
And you octave up or
No, we just did it like just a tiny bit
Oh
down.
no.
Oh,
He's out, I'm out of tune again. This guitar's slipping.
Yeah, he was so mad. It was really funny though.
dude. One time
That's really great.
it was
actually.
so great.
I had I think it was a Peterson strobo stop, and I accidentally hit the button that made it go to, somehow it went to 446.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty off.
And
You're like-
I was off, and I kept tuning, and I was off,
tuning.
and I kept checking the intonation. And dude, I was about to pray over the guitar.
Right.
I was like, the devil is trying
Like,
to mess
why
up
is that
my
button
tone.
there?
Yeah.
Who wants
Yeah.
that?
And then
to
finally I
sabotage
realized,
people.
and I was like, I can't believe this. Yeah, I don't know if it was a strobo stop. It was some
It's a
tuner.
liability.
Yeah.
It might have been the
I
chord.
think-
The
pitch
Boss
black.
one does it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all have it. It's like,
It's
why?
not good.
Who wants this?
Somebody.
You're one click away from like calamity striking,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
really,
something you would never think of.
Now, one
Right.
cent is
Yeah,
okay.
check that thing.
Yeah. Check. I know. I didn't think of it for
wouldn't- yeah.
multiple songs
You would never
during
think of it.
practice, and I
Right.
just was like,
Yeah.
I might have to
Troubleshooting.
not play.
Yeah.
So, in terms of ranking the head rush versus other units, I'm sure Bradford would love that we're doing
Spicy
this.
question.
Spicy question. Where do we put the head? Where do you put the head rush? You are obviously a big fan of the Kemper, so am I. You obviously are a fan of the Tonex. It's on your board. So we'll put aside. So okay, you might be partial to Kemper.
Yeah.
We all love the Tonex. It integrates with a pedal board.
Right.
Not really a fair comparison. This is an all-in-one unit. But just thinking of other all-in-one units, Quad Cortex, maybe FM9. You know what I'm saying? Like, really try to leave this as a
Helix.
floorboard you can buy and you have everything in there.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy answer. Like, I would play it over the Helix every day. Like, because of the capture, tech that's in there. The Helix, I always, even with tone matching, I'm still on the amp, block and trying to massage that thing into sounding like what in my head sounds like my.
But Suze, doesn't that say more about you as a player?
It
Because that's
does.
what the comments always say.
Yeah, and they're
I
probably
think
right.
the fact that you like something more than something else is more about you as a player.
Yeah.
That's always what the comments
Right.
say.
How else can I answer?
Right.
I am the player.
Yeah, right. Hey,
know?
good point. Good point. Good point. Yes.
So yeah, it'd be weird if I didn't answer as a player. So yeah, I would put Helix
As a non-guitar player,
Yeah.
Right.
my
Yeah.
preference
as a
is
robot. So I would put Helix at the bottom, and then I would probably do Head Rush above that because I think the amp sounds better. Like that's simple as that,
Do you think that the Helix, because the one thing and I don't have very much experience with this at all, but the one thing I'm hearing is that it seems to be more inconsistent than other things. Even the Helix, it's more inconsistent than even the
interesting.
Helix.
Yeah, when you put it that way, I think that's true.
Right?
But the good sounds that you do have are gold.
Sound better.
Oh, listen to that. That's killer. But it's not super versatile.
You had this sounding pretty much just like the Axe Effect stuff you were making.
We did not capture this moment on film.
I wish we did.
But it was incredible. Like, he walked into my office after hearing me jam for a while. I was like, sounds good, Suze. What are you playing? I was like, well, that was the Head Rush and the Axe. You're like, which one? I was like, I was switching the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was
Oh,
like,
wow.
wait, do that?
It
And
was
I
that
just went
close.
back
And yeah,
forth,
we just went back and forth, and I was like,
Can't tell.
I mean, I
Little-
lost track of which was which
Yeah,
because he
little
was just switching it.
differences.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And they just sounded like little different presets, but nothing sounded.
And that was the Axe 3. It was like, that's not $12.99.
Yeah.
I mean,
correct.
for it to hang that close with it.
Yeah.
That's when I really thought.
Yeah, and you had
wow.
matched the verbs and delays, like
Yeah.
everything was. You could hear a little different quality in the reverb. Not
so,
good or bad.
So
you
not
just hear
something
different
you're gonna
algorithms.
like on the spot try and dial in new tones. But if you get them sounding the way you want it
I
to,
think maybe you could.
You could.
Yeah, there's simple effects. It's just really the thing was some of them just don't work, and you got to keep.
Yeah, and the
scrolling.
touchscreen makes it easy to use. Like it's
Yeah,
very
it's
easy to
actually
use.
really easy.
It's really easy to use.
Yeah.
It's just I felt that way too. When you want to know the unit and you kind of got to know. I feel this way with a lot of software that has a lot of effects, and this has like these reverbs, and then it's like over here it's like reamp reverbs, recapture reverb, and it's like there's different classes of stuff, and it's like just where they came from was different units or different libraries or whatever, and it's like you get the feeling like I gotta like know these things, I have to like get to know them a bit. It's not like a Boss pedal where it's like hall, room, chorus.
Because that's what I was going to say. Like the MS3,
Yes.
you're like, oh, I all of a sudden need a tremolo and I need it in 5 seconds. Like,
It's right.
I'm
there.
not worried that it's going to
Yeah.
tank my sound.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a function of modeling too, to like have all these descriptor words that don't really mean anything.
Yeah,
It's like Studio Pro, Reverb, Hall.
right. One's called 11 Air.
Yes,
What does
11
that do?
Air. Well, it's the air effect probably from the 11 rack. But if you didn't use an 11
I don't know what it
rack,
sounds like
or
until
like
I
what's air.
Don't know what that is or what it should sound like.
Yeah.
Medium hull. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Yes.
Large
There's
room.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of that stuff.
I'm a simple man.
So so I would probably go Helix. I would say, man, it's close between Headrush and QC. Like, I have my issues with the QC. When I'm on it, there's something holding me back from loving it, and I haven't really pinpointed that. But the interface to me is way better on the Headrush. I feel better using the Headrush than the QC with the little blocks, and they all sort of look the same. And you
Screen
gotta,
feels a little more responsive.
Yeah.
On the Headrush,
yeah.
I'd say.
I do like the encoder knobs. We talked about how everything should have these on the QC. I would maybe tie those.
Yes.
Those two units, and then Fractal at the top. Yeah. Fractal just kills, all the amps sound great. Any effect can be set up to sound amazing, and the variety kills every other platform.
Yeah, and the way you build the signal chain is just so flexible. It's a grid. You can put anything anywhere.
Yes. That's where I would rank them.
Yeah.
And Kemper at the top.
Yeah.
You didn't ask.
Fair.
Too predictable. Get him out of here.
Too predictable.
Yeah.
These guys are idiots. What the
But
hell?
man,
these guys just want to sell Kemper profile.
Totally.
We do though. And so anyway, going into the Headrush, my expectations were super low, and I came out honestly pretty amazed by it. Like, especially when it hung with the Axe, I was like, if you have one of these, you're stoked. Try these out. I mean, they sound great. So
I remember this one time when we were
Now you
moving to
make me
Nashville.
wanna have one.
you can take that one, I think.
I remember this one time we were moving to Nashville, and we came and looked at a model house, and this woman was in the house. You know, we went to the model, and me and Alyssa were in there, and we went in, and this woman was like, "Hey, how is everybody?" And then we were like, "Good, good." And we were just looking around the house, and she was like, "Can I answer any questions?" And Alyssa asked her a bunch of questions, and then she offered us coffee, and I was like, "Alyssa, I think she just wants to sell us a house," and we just ran out because the jig was up. We knew it.
Wow.
She was a realtor.
I get what you're saying. I didn't laugh like that's been one of our traditions.
I know. It's
Did you laugh? I didn't look over.
Nobody laughed.
Was it
just
quiet?
fun.
I had a hard time following that.
No,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe it's too late in the day.
It's late. It's a Friday afternoon.
It was the whiskey.
If you have a real job,
That was another,
it's 21 minutes left in the workday.
Wow.
Anyone who has a real job has already stopped working.
Or
I
me.
have things I need to do for this weekend. I'm contemplating not doing them. Tonight, you know what it is at my house? Movie pizza night.
What movie?
Good question. We're going to decide.
Oh, it's not like a preordained thing.
Well, last night when the kids were going to bed, my wife said, did you guys finish these leftovers? I said, yes. And then she said, okay, I'm not going to cook tomorrow. We can just order food. I was like, cool. So then I went upstairs, tucked my kids in. I was like, hey, if you remember, ask Mom for pizza tomorrow since you guys always want pizza. She wants to order food, so it'll work. They were like, yes. So then this morning, it, by consensus, became movie pizza night.
I love that.
Because they were like, can we also watch a movie? And I was like, sure, it's
Once
Friday
you're having
night.
pizza, it's like, all bets are off.
What else are we going to do?
Yeah.
What are we going to sit in silence and just eat pizza?
Right. Boring.
That's what I do.
Can I also throw in something totally unrelated to what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
man.
Yeah.
Godzilla was great.
Yeah, so I told
Dude,
people
we
that
just
I
talked
heard
about
Did
it
you
at
see
lunch.
it, John?
I went by
No.
myself. You didn't want to go with
It's
me.
subtitles.
It was amazing.
What's wrong with subtitles?
You got to read the whole time.
It's art. It
You
was
could-
in black and white.
you could
Will
learn-
you see it again so I don't have to go by myself?
You could learn Japanese.
Yeah. I go to the movies a lot, so to go twice in a row for the same movie seems a little odd.
I have
I'll
that-
definitely rent it with you
All right, we'll rent it.
over some Woodford.
I have that AMC pass and I don't use it enough to justify it.
do
I'm
you?
definitely overpaying.
I bet
Uh-huh.
that 90% of the people who have the AMC pass
For sure.
It's almost like that's how they make money.
don't use it enough.
For sure. For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's got to be the case.
Well,
Now you
I'll
want to
rent
play
it.
the Head Rush. That's cool.
You want to take it?
Try it out.
sure. I'll take
Take
it.
It's
it
got
and try it.
93
Why not?
curated presets on
I
it.
try to take something
What if it's
every
got-
time I leave here.
What if it's got the Brutals?
Like a guitar.
I try to take something.
Well, some of them you got to repair. The Yamaha you're repairing. This is like way deep, so we can talk about this now.
Yamaha for next time.
The Yamaha that
We
I
wanted
bought. So
to
you
debut
guys,
it.
you guys have been really, really not into the Yamaha guitars I've been sending you. But we're gonna do another video on this. I think this is when you need to be buying 80s Japanese guitars. And I'll just make this
I can
simple
get into
case.
that.
Vintage guitars and prices are holding up, and they're going up, and the rest of the guitar market is falling. And those guitars and Japanese guitars from the 80s don't seem to be valued enough that unless it's the top of the line, like custom shop level quality, if it's any of the lower stuff, it seems like the prices are going down. And I think the more Japanese guitars you get now, they'll be really great appreciators in the future, because when the gear market bounces back, I think they're going to go up. And I wonder if when we get, I mean, we're 40 years out on some of these guitars. They're 40 years old. When we get 50 and 60 years out, I wonder if they will be looked at not as Gibson in the 60s, but I wonder if they'll be more like 70s Gibsons, 70s Fenders, which I remember were not. In the early aughts, I wish I had bought
all of them.
10% of the Silverface amps I overlooked and turned down.
Right.
Because you could pick those things up for $300-$400 all day long. And it was just so many Deluxes and Princetons. Nobody wanted them.
I mean, isn't it always true though? It's like they're not making any more 80s Japanese guitars. So eventually there will be so few left that they're rare enough. That
And a lot of them were mass produced. Like there was a lot of, there's a lot of Yamahas up there.
Yeah.
I think there's some cool models. I'm looking at brands like Electra and just a little more of the obscure.
I got to be honest with you. This Yamaha guitar is ugly, man. It's ugly.
Dude, I know people are saying that, but you know what? Who else was ugly?
Goldie?
No, Jerry Garcia, and he has an ice cream named after him today. So,
Cherry Garcia.
His
Exactly.
guitar was ugly too.
he played one of those.
He did?
Well, I guess when I bought it, it said Jerry Garcia. And then when I looked at some videos, people said, no, this is not the Jerry Garcia guitar. He borrowed this guitar, and it's like the next model up. So it's like same body shape, different headstock. But it's like definitely, same era.
I mean, I'm into it that he borrowed an ugly guitar one time. I can believe that.
I was also thinking I'm down with getting these like 80s Japanese guitars when they look really good. Like that's when I would get one.
Yeah. I want to get guitars that
I'm glad you like it.
I know.
I really mean that.
Look, I'm thankful that I get to play it. I'm thankful I get to experience it. I'm just glad I didn't buy it. That's all. Let's see. You know what, though? To be fair,
It's cool.
the bridge pickup doesn't work.
Yeah, we're going to...
We may love it with the bridge pickup.
That's why it's not in our hands
That's
right
why
now.
we're not playing it.
Dude, I got that guitar down here, and I told you guys it has something. And it's got like it's got like the pain of a child whose parents didn't love it enough. And
It knows it's ugly.
It knows. It has that. It has that in its soul. It knows.
And it
knows.
doesn't have a pickup selector. It has individual switches.
No, it knows. It was. Yeah, it was.
Is all three pickups a vibe? Is that like a thing that we want?
Man, and the telly neck. The
what?
The neck and the bridge, like the telly position neck and bridge together. You can do that.
Yeah.
And you've got and when you do that, you can tap it. It's got the coil tap. It's definitely weird.
It's weird. Well, yeah.
It's not weird. It's just
no one's saying it's not weird.
But dude, you don't think that looks like? Look at that wall. Okay, here's a side thing. And this already has like an after show vibe. It feels like the podcast ended already.
Right, we did.
And this is just like a little bonus like after show thing.
Yeah.
This is Tone Junkie After Dark. It's almost dark in here. Okay, Suze, can you put these two photos up? Here was my guitar collection before. Here was after my wife color coordinated the whole
Your wife
thing.
came downstairs.
Yeah.
It does look a lot better. John's wife agreed it looks a lot better.
Did you notice, or did you already know that had happened?
Well,
He got the photos via
Alyssa
text.
sent it to.
And Carissa was like,
To Carissa.
check this out.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
she was just.
The
like,
wives just started laughing about
They started
like,
laughing.
so
They're like, "Oh, way better."
people would know them. They're actually famous. People
They
would
were
know
on a
them.
they were on an
They were
episode.
on an. Did you remember that video where we were like, "How many guitars has your husband owned?" And Carissa said, "How
I don't
many?"
remember that at all.
It was a
It's-
video that's
it's
like
old.
it's
Just your
old.
wife's.
Yeah, we were
all
at a
four of us
restaurant.
were at dinner.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
then
I
we were
know.
like, "Let's play this game." And it was like, "How many guitars does your?"
Yeah.
We've talked about doing this with our wives.
Yes,
Sitting on these chairs and be like, well, hello there,
Oh
and
my
just
gosh.
jumping into a podcast.
Oh my gosh.
should
That
do
would
it.
be amazing.
The thing is, no one thinks I'm less cool than my wife. Does
Yeah,
that
they're right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that goes for all. I mean, all of us are goobers.
like sometimes I tell my wife that like I don't know. She's like, I'll turn on the videos. I'll be like, guys, check out this new video. I'm really proud of this edit. And she'll just be like, oh. And I'm like, what? And she'll be like, I just can't do it. I just can't look in a camera and talk. It's just like, oh, my anxiety goes up. I'm like, what do you people? You look at people on the internet do this all the time.
Right.
And she's like, I know, but I don't know them. I know you.
Right.
And
I've showed my wife things too. I'm like, look, this part of the podcast is really funny, and she just like looks at me and like, that's cute that you think it's funny.
Good for you, babe.
Yeah, good for you,
For
babe.
you.
She could not care any less.
dude, it's so weird.
Wow.
It's so weird. Your wife thought you played bass.
No, yeah, that's a great point.
Oh my God.
How good for you?
Does she even
right?
know you're on YouTube?
Probably not.
Can you imagine?
Hey, no,
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
how many times did I answer the question, why are you going to California? We're going to the NAMM show. Why are you going to the NAMM show? I was like, do you know I work at Tone
Yeah,
Junkie?
like,
right.
It's a guitar show.
It's so on brand.
It's just, yeah.
Right.
It's like
Why?
I get the groceries and I take the kids. Like whatever I do outside of that. It's like
Totally. Oh my
whatever.
gosh.
So, anyway, but I'm glad you like the guitar.
I
It's
just
a cool,
think you
it's a
guys
cool
are
guitar.
overlooking this a bit, and I think it's got a thing. And I'm just going to say this. When you get a guitar sometimes, it just has like a soul, a feeling. Like it knows it wasn't loved, and it's like in its voice. You know, it's like it's got that mojo, you know, like that's something that's just like, yeah, this thing's got a unique sound. Like a vocalist has a voice, it has that thing. It's the intangible awesomeness. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This thing isn't my number one guitar or two guitar, three guitar. It's a part of a collection. It's like a friend you have, and he's maybe not your best friend or your first call, or it's maybe not even someone you'd want to go to Pensacola with. But you know what? You had that one night when you were driving through Texas. You stopped in Amarillo, and you had fried bologna sandwiches and Pabst Blue Ribbon, and it was one of the greatest nights of your life, and you can't imagine it without them. But are you going to get them a Christmas gift? No, you're not going to even, they're not even on. Your wife doesn't even really like their wife. They're not close. It's your friend. You know, you kind of lost track. You haven't talked to him in a while. It's not the kind of friend that you just call up and chat about nothing, but you love them, you know? And when you're around them, you're like, yeah, fist bump. That's what that guitar is. Fist bump. Yeah, bro. You know what I mean? It's just fist bump. You don't even need to say anything else to that guy. You know what I mean?